a later start than we're used to, but the stands have not closed out at all. We still have a packed house, as you can see, and this camera view is only showing you about 50% of what's going on back here. Just at the bottom of your screen, we have another set of bleachers that go back that are all filled up as well. The crowd's energy is not going to lack, even though we're here starting a little bit later than we wanted to. I'm ready for a great competition. I know you are as well.
Yeah, you bet. I think the real smart ones, probably if you had a lifter who was, going in the morning, then you came and took a nap, and then returned for this one all rejuvenated. Or you've got, the Alani on deck?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if we need it, then maybe they dipped into the reserves for some of the good stuff to just keep them cracking.
Yeah, the energy drinks, the caffeine. The powerlifters always come strapped with them. That back room has more caffeine in it than most convenience stores have.
Yeah, man, it's a secret. It's part of the culture too. It's not just a tool. Like, this is how we live.
Right, and everybody swears by their pre-workout, their energy drink, whether that's a part of their ritual or just part of their supplementation stack. Everybody has their own ritual that they go through, that they say, I need to have this much caffeine before squats, this much before bench, this much before deadlifts, and I'm sure the crowd with the late start today is following something similar.
Yeah, you bet. We got our attempt timers that will begin the moment that the 8:30 timer runs out, and then you got that 60 seconds, as always, from the bar is loaded call for that athlete to get their start commands. Flight G and H, we'll call them, for each of these platforms. When it comes up onto your screen with that split screen view, we're going to have platform 3 on your left and magically platform 4 on your right. It's like they're listening to us over in the truck. And on platform 3, we will feature first our 65 kg women's competitors. This is one of those where you're going to see a co-ed flight, as your men's 75 teens will feature also at the bottom of it. Those teen ones are going to be the ages of 14 and 15. That's who you're about to see as Gino the Legend. You ever even caught his last name, or is he just like Gino the Pirate?
I do know his last name. I don't know if he likes me saying it out loud because he always just goes by Gino Powerlifting, so I'll spare him of that for now. But Gino is always here, 3 sessions a day for the entire weekend. I don't know how he keeps up this energy the whole time. He just loves powerlifting and everything about it.
You got to bring a little bit more passion, and you got to have some screws loose to do what he does and what we do. Audrey Richards opens on 97.5 keys. I'm thinking a good squat for our very first of the evening session.
Yeah, very good way to start out there.
Madison Schultz on your left-hand side. She is platform 3, a 65 kg open herself. Already something I want to remark on, just considering her forward torso lean, the degree of it, and her bar position. She's one of the very few lifters. She might actually have to worry a little bit about the elbows coming in contact with the thighs, right?
Right, because if you get that and you see that the lifter, it could be potentially assisting themselves by pressing their elbows against their quads and press up for the concentric portion of the squat, you could get a red card for that.
There's so few people where it's even anatomically a concern, right? But every once in a while, it's just, I think those tends to be that combination, right? And where you take your grip in even a little bit. You're going to say Ciara Leiter on your left of screen at 137.5. I've been talking with a number of commentators throughout the weekend so far, is that the really, really tight grips see some of the, practically wrists on the shoulder blades. That's likely from lighter and often female competitors.
Right. They have a little bit better mobility when you don't have as much muscle mass in that upper frame. Once you see them get into those 90 kilo weight classes, the 100 kilo weight classes, you have a little bit more muscle mass up there. It's harder to get that mobility right. But you could see they can really squeeze it back there and get that upper shelf on the back tight.
Jalaya Pave has a 140 kg on her open. That's beyond twice body weight. We've seen a couple of quicker first squats, but go ahead and tell me, Lance, what do you like to do about making your jumps?
So for the opener, you always want it to be something that is an RPE 7 or RPE 7 or 8 on your worst day. It's always up to the preference of the lifter, but something where if you had no caffeine, you're sick, your body's hurting, you can hit this lift in the gym no matter what.
On your worst day, you said?
Your worst day possible.
Yeah.
This way, if something goes wrong on that opener, you know you can come back and hit it. And it also just minimizes the likelihood that something does go wrong. The reason for that is if you don't get a single lift on the board for each of these disciplines, you bomb out is what it's called. Your total goes as 0. You cannot finish the meet. From there, usually a 10 to 12.5 kilo jump depending on how it moves. If it moves really good, you go 10 to 12. If it moves maybe not so good, probably somewhere between 5 and 7. If it moves terrible, typically on squats, you're probably going 2.5 or towards a third, you're going to scratch.
I'm glad you mentioned that 2.5. That is your minimum jump on a successful attempt. You can't stay the same, and you can't go down. If you have a successful lift, you got to go up by at least 2.5. And when you do miss, your options are
to reload or you can go up.
You bet.
But you cannot go back down. That's why it's so risky choosing that opener. If you get a little bit too overzealous and say you fail on strength, you cannot go back down. You have to at least stay at the same weight.
One of the best things that we have seen from everybody across naturally, just essentially every single age division and weight class is proper selection of openers where at least on strength, just about every single opener of the many hundreds that have already been taken, and don't worry, there's going to be plenty more, are in at least the right range. It's not to say that there's no misses on depth. That couldn't be further from true. Lord knows you've seen some people hammered on their depth, and judging is like utterly scrutinized. That's what happens when you get these all-star crews of referees all on the same platform.
Right. You know, at Nationals, you're going up there with some of the best referees that we have to offer. They know exactly what they're looking for. You're not going to squeeze something by them. They know what depth is. They know what commands are. They know everything. There's never going to be anything up for question.
All right, commands. The squat, it's not the most technical, they call it, but it's also not the least. Tell me about your 2 commands on the squat.
So on the squat, you're going to unrack it whenever you're ready. From the time that the bar is loaded, you're going to have that 1-minute timer come down. You unrack it, and then you're going to stand with your knees locked and standing erect. From there, you will get the squat command with the drop of the hand of the chief referee. You may then start your squat. That squat command is not telling you to squat. It is just permission to squat. So once you get that squat command, it's not like you have to squat right now. That means the timer no longer matters, and you may squat whenever you're ready. So then you may squat down. You got to hit your depth, coming all the way up. There's no command to come up. You'll see that a lot at local meets. At a national level meet, you're probably not going to see that. All these lifters are very experienced at the higher level. But once you are fully locked out, that's when you will get the rack command from the chief referee with the drop back of the hand.
All right, one unsuccessful squat was Taylor Herring. She got white, that is, in the center, but reds on both sides. When she's got 2 reds, because of this national level competition and because of the presence of our jury, she can do exactly what?
She can go to the jury table to protest. It's very similar to how if you watch any other sport like football, basketball, where they can go and challenge and they'll review it, they can go to the jury that will review it for you and they can overturn it if they make a unanimous decision between our 3 national referees.
Interestingly, Taylor Herring missed on the opener, takes a 12.5 jump to her second. Is that a ton, Lance? Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
That's a lot. That's a top-end jump. I'm not a fan of that move. Usually if you fail an opener, my only option is to ever reload it unless you get to the deadlifts and there's some sort of issue where you get the sumo wobbles. We'll talk about that later because I'm sure we'll see it.
I've been there. Let me tell you.
That is a very risky move moving up because like we said, you cannot move back down from that 160 now. She's locked in at that weight. We'll see if it pays off for her.
Yep. The good news is if you miss the second one, you'll have one more try.
Yeah.
The bad news is then you must post it for survival.
Yeah, and she can't go back down from that 160. That's why it becomes so risky.
Ashlyn Dormany, second from the bottom in the flight. She will take 160 to open, as will Paige Skriel to follow. So 2 lifters have got the exact same attempt. Who goes first?
It goes by the lower lot number. So the lot numbers are assigned randomly at weigh-ins, or before weigh-ins, excuse me. And then that decides the order of weigh-ins, and then anybody who has the same attempt, then it goes by lot number once again.
That's my favorite topic in all of powerlifting. I've been hitting on it in every single I say that, of course, tongue-in-cheek. It's hilarious. It's such a niche, little tiny caveat, but yes, you need to be aware of them. And technically, for the order of weigh-ins, if you were somebody who was really close on your weight cap and those kind of things, it could factor in a little bit more. What time exactly do I need to get there to hit my lot number? Or if I miss and it's gone by, you have to be in the very back of the line. Have you been there?
I've been there, yes.
I absolutely have.
I've missed weight before, and then
missed weight even fully.
I've water cut before where it's like you get there and you want to be at 100 kilos and you're at 100.1.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, well now I got to step off, take the socks off, try it again.
Yeah.
If you miss again, you got to get to the back of the line.
Mm-hmm. Successes on those 160s, by the way, both. And in fact, everybody throughout that flight on Flight G, successful openers.
So that must mean that okay, no, I'm thinking of the other platform where we had the jury protest.
Yeah, that was the one miss for Taylor Herring on the other
yep.
platform, yep. Remember, folks, Platform 3 is on your left of screen. Platform 4 is on the right. They're marked with that little marker up there with the A7, our presenting sponsor for the whole darn shebang.
Right, A7 offering singlets, knee sleeves. If you see Madison Schultz on the left, she's got the singlet and the knee sleeves. Knee sleeves are becoming a little bit more popular over the last couple of years with the advancement in how stiff they can be and how much they help in the squat. I personally love the A7 knee sleeves. They've been my favorite over the years. Some of these stiff sleeves over a while, they start to fall apart. It seems like the A7 have the integrity to last the way.
So you've worn on the platform their flagship stiff sleeve, the A7 Rigor Mortis?
Yes, multiple times. That's usually my go-to. I actually hold off on using them for a while and then switch back into them to get that extra pop because I don't want to get too used to it because it is so stiff and it helps out so much. I love the Rigor Mortis knee sleeve.
Mm-hmm. On to second attempts on squat for the platform on your left, Platform 3. Jalea Pave, a 147.5. Leo Almquist, just before we get to the bottom again, we told you that there's going to be a couple of men's competitors at the bottom of Flight G on your right. Leo's one of them.
Yeah, 385 for a teen 175 kilo lifter. That's no joke.
Yeah, all of these teenagers, man, I have made the joke a few times, but you remember that old My Chemical Romance track, right? And teenagers scare the you-know-what, right, out of me.
That's right.
There are more and more all the time towards the top levels of teenage powerlifting, guys pushing the all-time open world records.
It's incredible the advancement of the sport that we've seen and how even younger people are getting into the sport and being so successful at it.
Kaylin Rittenhouse had a fight in the middle of her 147.5. Red Pope opening on your right on 185 at the very bottom of the flight. That means you're the heaviest one to open. And I think we're just waiting on lights, but we expect that they will be up there. Technical difficulties.
And we see our first depth call there from Kaylin Rittenhouse, 147.5, missing on depth. So you'll notice at the bottom of our lights we have a little bar that is the cards, and it's the criteria as to why the lift was no good. On that, we see the red card at the bottom of the lights. The red card always indicates no depth on squat. The depth we're looking for is the top of the hip crease getting below the top of the knee joint. So
and that is what people will say, too, the most common cause of a failure in all of powerlifting, right?
Yes, 100%. It's so hard because you can't see it as you're doing it, and it's something that is so visual. It's not just the feeling of something. It's so visual, and that's why you got to practice getting to that same spot every time, whether that's doing some tempos, doing some pauses, finding your spot and making sure you're hitting depth. Because you could also drop it too low, and you're not going to get called for that, but now you feel like you're missing kilos because you're increasing your range of motion.
Yeah, there are a handful of lifters, and I mean this is a truly rare trait, who are a little bit stronger, bottoming the squat out, going as deep as they are anatomically capable. Not even like your mobility wants to allow it, but like I've noted before, if your hamstring sits on your ankle, you're not physically getting any lower, right? You're just at some point blocked from ever going deeper. Every once in a while, those are stronger, bottomed out squats. What do you like?
I like to cut it just where I need to get to. I have long femurs as it sits, and you'll see a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
can't
these,
tell how tall you are from here.
Yeah, a lot of these lifters you'll see with the longer femurs, they don't want to go any further down than they have to because they're already taking a journey to get to the bottom of the squat.
Yep.
But if you drop it down a little bit deeper and a little bit quicker, you can get that advantage from using your stretch reflex in your muscles. It's like if you're taking a rubber band and you pull it apart and you see it snap right back. It's like that little extra push that you get right out of the hole. It's going to stand you right up.
Lance, man, have you tried being my height? Because you really don't have to bend over much. And then my femur, too, it's like I had almost an Olympic lifting style high bar squat for many, many years. And I had to eventually learn that maybe that wasn't the best thing for moving maximal kilos for me.
I'll tell you what, every time I go to squat, it's the only time that I regret being tall.
Yeah, man. There's a trade-off everywhere because you know it'll pay you off somewhere else along your build, right? Like when you move one slider up, the other two go down. You move two sliders up, one other goes down. It's just all going to come out in the wash because, man, totals win meets.
That's right.
Brianna Donatucci, more like Donatello with the purple SBD singlet. All of the turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, are buzzing through my brain, and that's how you can tell that it's the third session of the day.
I appreciated that reference. That was great. I can't believe you pulled that.
Don't you look, dude? Pop culture is like my wheelhouse. I'm talking. That is a wide net I can cast, and we've got at least several hours to get through it. All right, don't you worry. Ella Gerard on her 125. She's got two of those red round things. This is a great time to talk about loading the barbell. And I don't mean just, being a loader out there working on the platform. I'm talking about how do you go about loading it? And when I say 125 kilos, how do we get there?
So we have to put the first plate facing inwards.
Mm-hmm.
That's so we know what's going there because obviously the blue plate could be the same size as the red plate.
Yeah.
And then everything else goes outwards. And then we have our reds, which is 25 kilos, our blues, which is 20, and you go yellow, which is 15, and you have to slowly work your way down. And then we have our collars, which act as the same as the blacks that are 2.5 kilos that screw into the bar. This way we have the most accurate weight on there.
And, of course, 20 kg power bar.
20 kg power bar, yep. 44 pounds.
Lexi Sanders, that's a 17.5 jump. I leaned in and I adjust my glasses a little bit to make sure I saw that right. Lexi is, okay, we're still waiting on lights. I thought that may have been a question of depth, and yeah, she's got reds on left and right.
Yeah, that's an interesting jump for Lexi. 17.5 is very aggressive, and sometimes you see that out of these lifters that have a different type of coaching style, but if it works for her, it works for her. She misses on depth there, but didn't seem strength was much of an issue, so hopefully she'll be able to drop that down and hit it for a third.
Emily Gamber up next. This is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum with jumps. It's not quite a minimum, but it's only 5 up. Emily will take a while, settle, squat command. Now, if there was a depth that I've visually seen so far this entire event, that was it.
Right, yeah, that's one that you could confidently say that she hit depth on.
Is there always going to be some room for interpretation? Is there always some fudge of how high up are my knee sleeves pulled? Where does my singlet sit? What is the pattern of it that may obscure the hip crease? Yes, all of those things. But you know what? I'm so glad that I don't have to make the call on it.
Right.
I am thrilled.
And being in the referee position, you don't realize how quickly that happens. If you have a quick squat and they're just at depth for 1 second, you have to see that right away. And you have to look for a plethora of other things as well. It is a very hard call to make.
And, man, when you don't, will you hear some holy HE double you-know-whats.
Oh, yeah. And there
because
we see Taylor Herring fail her second attempt on squat 160 kilos after going up. And this is the nightmare situation that we were talking about before where, you move up and now you're failing on strength. You can't go back down.
Yeah. We noted it would be tough, and then it was, and that's not a shock to anybody. Madison Schultz, both knees got stanky. All right, so in just about every session, I've been able to hit on it once or so. knee valgus are those two-word catch-alls that means those knees are kind of moving in towards each other, sometimes can even touch. Is it something to fear? Is it scary? Is it a boogeyman that lives in your closet? What is it?
This is something that drives me up a wall
Go
because
for it.
this is a very, very common thought amongst people who see it. They think you think knee valgus, you think ACL injuries, because when you're talking about a dynamic sport where you have acceleration and deacceleration, when you have a knee valgus, it puts a lot of pressure on the ACL and MCL. In this situation, what's going on is you have these muscles on the inside of your leg called adductors.
Oh, yeah.
They work with hip extension. So when you're fully at the bottom of the squat, you're fully flexed at the hip as well as the knee.
Yep.
So if you have a longer femur and you have to flex more at the hip to get to the bottom of the squat, you have to extend more at the hip. Now what this adductor does is it helps extend at the hip, but another thing it does is adduction, meaning it pulls the knees inward. It pulls them inward. So what you're seeing is that adductor work really hard to extend at the hip, and one of the symptoms of that is that the knees come inwards because the adductor has another function of adduction. So no, it is not something to worry about. It is very normal, especially with these lifters that have longer femurs.
Jalea is finding herself in the same spot too, but then the chest gives a little bit, right? From that pitched over position, that recovery, dude, is there any key to it? Or, I mean, do you have to kind of admit that the lift is done at that point?
It really depends on what's going on with the bar on the back. A lot of times, if that bar rolls up onto your traps, that's going to come forward, and there's almost no recovery. It obviously depends on the intensity and the weight that's on the bar. On an opener, you might be able to get away with it, typically on a third attempt. When we're talking about 100% intensity on the bar, that's very hard to recover from.
Ciara Leiter is 157.5. If you're not fully versed in the conversions, don't worry, we got cheat sheets. It's 347 and some change, and I like that. That's 3 whites. Marie Leonard on your right side, a 7.5 jump. And to have a probably unremarkable second, kind of a quote-unquote boring second attempt, I think that's a really good spot to be in. Is that kind of what you feel?
Yeah, you want to set yourself up to where you can make safe jumps and something that you can hit on your third.
Mackenzie Wank at 162.5, qualified out of 2025 USAPL Michigan States. Takes 162.5 here, and
Very
bouncy.
Cohen Freeman making a 12.5-kilo jump.
We've all got friends who would, when watching an attempt like that, afterwards come up to us in the gym and say, hey, put some weight on the bar. Hopefully Mackenzie's got some friends like that are here today. Cohen Freeman on your right-hand side. Again, those teens sneaking in at the bottom of the flight for your male competitors over on the right side of your screen on platform 4. Brenna Jacobs. This is a retake from her second.
Right, she missed on depth on the second. Seems like she got 2 depth calls from the side and then a yellow from the front. And that's going to be close on depth again for sure.
It will, but talk about your library squat, dude. That was so quiet. I wonder. Yeah, you nailed it, Lance. It's all 3.
Yeah, it just not low enough for her. Remember, the hip crease needs to get below the top of the knee joint. It's not just parallel you're looking for. And typically the front referee has the worst view at it, but very clear there, 3 red lights.
Ashlyn Dormany, we're rocking down on towards the bottom of flight G. 7 flights in on this one single platform for the day, and it's nearly at the end of its squats. Then we'll have flight H coming up. That's flight 8. Ashlyn's 167, and that's even with the minimum jumps, man. Sometimes you got to gas. You see any balance change too? I wonder if it could have been at the bottom.
Could have been. It seemed like she cut depth a little bit at the bottom, and that could have changed something, because a lot of times, like we said, you're relying off that stretch reflex, but sometimes it comes tempting to squat a little bit higher once you get up there. So maybe that could have been the case there.
Ayla Smith, 167.5 as well. So again, an identical attempt to the previous lifter. Wow, you want to talk about smacking the bottom.
Yeah, that was one of the deepest squats I've seen today.
But then, man, some have said that the difficulty of controlling the bottom position, the very last couple of inches, becomes a little bit more difficult if you hit that descent that quick. Audrey Richards takes a couple of those deep breaths, and on her 107.5, back in the rack. Looks good by us. You bet. Emily Matt on 3. Thank you, Gino. 170, man. Okay, third squats are proving tricky.
Yeah, we're hitting a little bit of a bug here on our third attempts for platform 3.
That's the worst thing is when it becomes a little bit contagious and there's just like a long run.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason. And this is 4 in a row. We're at the very bottom of the flight with the heaviest squat, Paige Skrill, so maybe time to flip it around and end with a big old bang. Paige Skrill is probably going to quickly become a crowd favorite. This is a plus 7.5 comp squat PR.
That's a great amount.
Yeah, but man, your 10 jump to is a ton.
We're seeing a lot of deep squats and then fail right out of the hole.
Yes. That was nearly everyone throughout that long run, again, at the bottom of the flight where you just didn't have successes. It's, well, separating what you want from what you've got
Right.
sometimes, right? Paige Skrill all the way through. That means Flight G's squat's already done. And we'll go down to Flight H with our teen 75 kgs. Rome Randall, he's got the opener, and he opens beyond 400 pounds. That means everybody throughout the flight taking that at minimum, and then probably a whole lot more if you're starting to cheat and look through them all. Gracie Marshall, 127.5, as third squats are now in roughly the middle on platform 4 for Flight G. Brianna Donatucci coming up next. Ella Gerard and Brianna Donatucci will both take 132.5. Lexi Sanders waits for them. Remember, Lexi took that 17.5 jump, and we both kind of looked at each other and said, ooh, that's a lot.
Right. And she's taking another 5 kilos on top of that.
Oh, I know.
So we'll see how that ends up for her.
Tyler Weingartner, his opener 185. Butter, great start for our teens. Brianna takes a couple of different breaths in there, and I'm telling you, if it's so dangerous, if this boogeyman of an Valgus is coming for us all, you could fool me here because we got strong squats with it.
Yeah, and a very close stance from her, too. Very quad dominant there.
Anthony Kopetka, he's got a 185 opener. And, well, the last warm-up type of opener that, well, gives you plenty of room to move up.
Yeah, and that's always a comfortable look, comfortable thing to look at as a coach when you see your lifter smoke that opener. Now we got a wide-open playbook from here.
Lexi Sanders will be up next. Lexi has a 145 third. As Ella Gerard already gone through, so apologies on your screen there. It'll be coming in just a moment. But Ella's squat did pass as well. There we go. Lexi took that 17.5. Missed there, but Lord knows 5 more just cranks that intensity dial up even further.
Yeah, she missed on depth from the sides, so she's going to have to dip this down a little bit deeper, and the extra 5 kilos definitely – I mean, the squat looks great. I'm just really worried about the depth there.
I know, Lance, because speed is so good, and it's controlled and everything, and what do we know? Never mind, dude.
Don't listen to me.
Not at all, right? Like, tune us all out at all times. If you got to, watch on mute. But be sure to stay around. We need the watch time, right? Like, just keep it open. Angel on your left, the 190.
Big squat coming here from Taylor. Needs this to stay in the meet.
Yep.
So like we spoke about earlier, if you don't register a single lift for each of our disciplines, your total goes as 0.
And so this is the first survival squat coming late at night.
And unfortunately cannot get it to go here, but I always tell the same story whenever somebody bombs out, is what they call it, is that back, I think it was 2017, Taylor Atwood competed at the Arnold's. He's one of the greatest powerlifters of all time. He actually competed here and set the world record at the time, 838.5 kilos, here at the Westin Chicago Lombard. And he bombed out at the Arnold's at that meet.
Yeah,
and
man.
it did not define his career. He came here a couple years later and set the world on fire with his performance. So just because you get disqualified from a meet in that way does not mean that is the end to your story.
Not nearly. For some, this is hardly the beginning. For all of these youths and the teens, I keep telling everybody, and for the masters, like way down the line, we have had competitors age 8 to 82 take this same platform, Lance. You know what I'm saying? A lifetime in strength is what we aspire to, right? When you get into this, that is the plan, that's the idea, and it's never more evident than this week. Michelle Tran is a retake on 160 away from throwing a 7.5 on. 7.5. Do you find that a reasonable squat jump here that she made in the first place?
That's a typical squat jump if it's feeling like okay. It really depends on the lifter and depends on what the goals are and what jumps typically look like for them. Some people like bigger jumps, some people don't. It affects them a little bit more. Missing on depth and deciding to reload it, I think that's the smart move. Sometimes you have a technical issue in a meet and unfortunately cannot get it on the board.
Here's the thing. Her opening squat was 2.5 below her all-time comp best from Raw Nats last year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you still see the improvement there, just the execution not there today.
Mm-hmm. Eric Lapointe, by the way, over on your left. These are open 75s now. Remember that open age division. Anything beyond your juniors ending at 23 years of age, and then anything before your masters beginning at 40.
Eric Lapointe, legend of the sport's been doing this for a while, coaches plenty of lifters, owns his own powerlifting gym. Legend of the sport, gives back to the sport, and a killer deadlifter as well.
Isn't it funny how it gets your hooks in you, and then you do 10,000 different things in the sport that you never planned to? You're like, well, no, I really like competing. And then you are sucked into every different area, and you are indoctrinated.
Right. I went through the same thing. I did one meet, and it was like, maybe I'll do one, maybe I'll do two. Who knows how it's going to end up. Years later, I'm announcing the live streams, I'm coaching, I'm refereeing, I'm meet directing. It's the bug gets you, and it just, what can I do next?
Oh, yeah. Entrap, ensnare, whichever, entangle, whichever kind of N-word you like. Matthew Sacco on a 3 white light squat, 230 to open. All of our men's open 75s are towards the bottom of this flight here, so all 75-kilo competitors, but there is teens and opens within this flight. Flight H on platform 3. Marie Leonard, 175. 4 more squats to go on flight G. They'll get to their second flight in a moment. Marie said, not quite yet. I got a little fight here to dust off.
Yeah, what a grind from Marie. That's how you want to see it on the third attempt, getting everything you can out of the lift, every single kilo.
And all of these 75s are tossing increasingly concerning numbers. I mean that in the nicest way possible. Opener squats have passed well beyond 500 pounds. Cohen Freeman got a 182.5 for himself. He knows that's a little beyond 400 too. That's one of those mental barriers. It's as mental as it is physical, Lance, because when you've already got that strength within you, it's just down to that execution.
Yeah, and I always find it interesting to see what lifters are going to do. Let's say he takes 172.5 as his second, and it doesn't move the way he wants to, and 180 might be the right call to see if they're going to push that extra 2.5 kilos because you got that 400-pound mark in your brain.
That milestone.
Everybody always thinks about passing that 400-pound mark, that 500-pound mark, that 600-pound mark.
Always.
And that extra little chip is always there, and it's wonder how it's going to move, and there he gets it done.
You bet. Jason Zong, man, he could have jump squatted with the bar on his back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you see that as a coach, it's like green light, let's throw whatever we want on the bar.
Expect a lot more of that, a lot of room to go up for just about all of our 75s who are already in some ridiculous territories. Leo Almquist on your right. Took the 17.5 one time, now wants it again. Side spotters and loaders ends up with so often just about the best workout of anybody on that platform. They're doing a whole lot more sets with a whole lot more reps than anybody else out there, but that did not pass the 3 reds. Garrett Lockwood, opener 255.
Yeah, and I had the pleasure of announcing Garrett Lockwood at the Arnold Sports Festival this year at the Male and Raw Challenge, and we saw him on his 3rd attempt deadlift shoot for 3rd place when he knew the risk of that was dropping all the way to 8th. And unfortunately, he didn't get it, but we had to admire the confidence and just the go-get-em attitude of, like, I don't want 5th place, I don't want 4th place, even though there was payouts for that as well.
Yeah.
He wanted all the way to 3rd. He wanted to be on the podium.
Alfonso Montalvo opens on 255. 562 and a little bit. Just a little bit of change sprinkled on. And there's a posture of control under the bar that can only be learned over many, many years. That's what I see out of Alfonso, that his control on his walkout is elite. It set him apart.
Right, and you tend to notice that through lifters who have done this for a little bit longer. Like you said, it comes with experience. Like, you'll notice a lot of our younger lifters, they seem very loose under the bar. They don't really seem like there's so much of a methodical sense behind the walkout or even the setup. But these older lifters who have been doing it for a bit, you see them get that rhythm, that cadence to what they're doing.
Alfonso's one of those, he's kind of right in that midpoint at 32 years of age between, the end of your juniors and your masters. But when he gets to masters, you want to talk about, like, guys that would be threats if they want to keep doing this for many, many years?
Yeah, all you got to do is stay healthy and lift clean, and you'll get there.
Noah Foreman, dude, what?
Yeah.
You saw that, right?
Smoked it.
That's completely unnerving. 260 for Noah Foreman's opener. That put him at the bottom of the flight, like you might imagine.
Yeah, heaviest squat we've seen so far, and he made it look so easy. You got to think he's got way more in the tank there. We're going to see over 600 pounds from him today.
Undeniably. We've already got one 600-pound attempt put in. You keep wondering, okay, where do we pull these magic numbers from? Well, if I were you, I'd go online to LiftingCast.com, look for 2026 USA Powerlifting Youth and Raw Nationals Day 1, and then our platforms are platforms 3 and 4. But that's just me, you know what I'm saying? I'm not you. I think we're all glad of that in our own ways. Rome Randall on your left. These teen threes posting open type of numbers. 192 for his second. I didn't get to ask you, Lance, what do you like to do about your grip with the squat?
The grip, typically you want to get it as close as possible because that allows you to get a little bit tighter in the upper back and create that shelf for the bar to sit in. A lot of these lighter weight lifters, you're going to see them bringing in a little bit closer because they have the mobility for it, as we see with Jesse Rodriguez on the right. when we get later in the week, when we start getting those 125 kilo lifters, those 110 kilo lifters, you're going to see them grip a little bit out wider because they have that extra muscle mass in the back. I always say go as close as possible that you are comfortable with, because you can almost feel that shelf that the bar just sits right into when you're on a low bar squat, which most of our lifters do.
A ton of our masters, 125s, 140s, even 140 pluses, they would grip nearly all the way to the plates. That's your max grip width, right? That's your one rule. You just can't make contact with those plates or the collars.
Right. Right, you can go as wide as you want. You just cannot touch the plates on there. And you'll see them turn the uprights in so they can fit their hands on the outside. Might not see that today with our lighter weight lifters. There's a chance, but typically you don't.
Denzel Johnson on a 210. I like his pick, man, as he rotates the hips under. Those who snap it, like hips under and then that shoulders and upper back up into the bar in one fell swoop. I really love that type of unrack. Anthony Kopetka, 195. He's got that thumb over grip that it can be a tad less secure. It maybe moves a tiny bit more on his back as opposed to you compare him to what we just saw from Alfonso Montalvo in terms of control of the barbell when it's on his back. Something I noticed.
Yeah, you can see that slide a little bit if you have the thumb over. It's a very risky move. Sometimes it allows them to find their spot easier, but you can lose that spot as well.
Everybody's got some sort of landmark, right, to set up their grip, whether that be on the rings with your thumbs, whether it be middle fingers right in the middle and dig those into the rings, that kind of thing. Some are even probably capable of gripping on the smooth.
Yeah.
You see that with really some of our lighter weight female competitors have essentially stacked the wrist completely onto the shoulder. Charles Montgomery III is a 220 opener away. He'll also take a while on his walkout and settling. And then everything there on out, not an issue.
Charles wearing the A7 singlet, the A7 knee sleeves.
The starter kit, man. And Sean Simon on our left with a 200. That's a 12.5 jump from his first.
Seeing a lot of these A7 knee sleeves go around, and they're our primary sponsor, but I can tell you personally from experience, I can't stress enough how much I love their rigor mortis stiff knee sleeve. I've tried almost every stiff knee sleeve in the book, and the common complaint I've had with each one of them is that they loosen up so quickly. You do not get that with the A7. They stay tight throughout the entirety of their lifespan, which is a while. I haven't had to change a pair in a while.
Jaden and Augustine on either side of you will be coming up in just a moment. On platform 4, we are toward the bottom of first attempts for Flight H. Flight H being the second of our 2 flights for this evening session. 9:11 p.m. Central Time, 10:11 Eastern Time. Coming to you live from the Westin Lombard here in Lombard over in Chicagoland. Sean Melcher has a 225. He's a 75 junior and an open double entrance. So that means, well, you paid for both of the entries, but it also, for so many of these athletes who choose to double enter, means you're looking for that higher level competition in the opens, right?
Right. I always said to all of my lifters, I don't care how young you are, sign up for the open. You see it at a lot of these meets where someone in the juniors could be a podium in the open, but they didn't sign up for it. Mm-hmm. You're wasting, it's only an extra $30. So it's not that much money to register for a higher class and compete against some higher competition and potentially walk away with a medal, especially at a national meet. That means something.
Is Luis, just as he comes over there, say, hey, I need my rack height changed now, as he gets out for his attempt?
It seems like it, and you know, the typical rule is if they put it up wrong, they'll reset the timer.
Yeah, but his timer continued to run from what we've seen, his attempt timer. Interesting.
He didn't have a rack height registered in LiftingCast, so that's an issue that he's going to have to address with the scorers table when he gets back there.
Yeah, that's strange, but here's the thing. The crew was very receptive to him telling, hey, exactly where I want it, and they immediately got it adjusted there. Even while that timer was running down, that really didn't end up affecting his attempt.
Yeah, I mean, we have some of the best spotting and loading crews there is to offer. I was marveling at how well they were doing on deadlifts last time. It's like a NASCAR pit crew sometimes.
Yeah.
You'll notice, like, with some of these attempts, it's like a 10-second, 15-second turnaround time, which is incredible to load weight that quick. And it's so important to keep the flow of the meet going.
Andrew Vaversik, call him Dubs. He will walk it back in. He has, you know, that longer femur build. He has to get pitched over. I can tell you the gentleman's back is just simply made of iron. He was one of the USAPL Michigan State primetime guys that I got to watch at the first ever primetime states in the state of Michigan back in November.
Eric LaPointe on Platform 3. Last year at Atlanta, Georgia, Raw Nationals, we had a severe thunderstorm during prime time when he was competing. He walks out his squat, all the lights shut off, we go to a power outage, and he had to walk it back in during a blackout. And
so that's replaced then.
Yeah, it was the craziest moment I've seen in my powerlifting career when all the lights go out while he has the squat on his back.
Leandro Munoz on a 250. All right, I'm going to hit you with one of the more nerdy terms that we're going to get into probably for the day. Maybe not the biggest one, but compensatory acceleration in the bottom of the squat, right? It's sort of a speeding up once you get into those last couple inches before the hole, right?
Yeah, so like we spoke about earlier with the stretch reflex, you want to get that extra stretch, that extra bounce out of the hole. So that extra speed hitting the hole. They call it, sometimes people call it dive bombing, you know, if they don't want to get into the
oh, you would like
terms.
it. You would like it if I did that, wouldn't you?
the nerd terms of it.
Yeah.
The stretch reflex is what allows them to get that little extra pop out of the hole so they can drive it up. And it's a common strategy you'll see, but a lot of times you can lose control of the bar doing that. So there is some risk behind it, and it does take some practice.
Zion Stevens, oh, geez, that says 252.5, doesn't it? 556 and a whole bunch of change.
As an opener.
Yeah, and then that just means you're going to go up. Oh, boy.
We are being treated to a show tonight.
Yep, in the front row. I say that we're behind the curtain like Wizard of Oz style, right? Pay no attention to the men behind the curtain. Marvin on our left takes a 20 jump.
You're killing it with the references today.
Dude, I'm telling
We're not
you,
even
they're
done
on
squats
deck.
yet.
Don't you worry. It's a bag which you keep adding to, right? Like, I bring it around with me everywhere. And so I've carried that for 8 years or so, and I'm going to continue to add to it. Garrett Lockwood on 265 on his second and a few. That's a plus 10 jump. Dylan Kabiko on our right with a plus 12.5 up to 220. Dylan's also an open 75. Dylan spent a fair amount of time in the middle of that, but still, it'll come up. Now, Garrett's got his own little bit of knee valgus, and yet he's not bursting into a ball of flames. How's that possible?
Exactly. I'm telling you, it's totally safe. Just the adductor getting involved, extending that hip.
And it's funny. Adductor magnus is the biggest one of them, right? And then I've started to hear people talk about that might actually be a bit of a misnomer because it's not necessarily even used in adduction as its primary function.
Right.
Right?
Hip
It's
extension.
even a bigger hip extension. Yeah, that's crazy to a degree. We're gonna change anatomy charts radically in the next couple of years with because of powerlifting fed research. You know what I'm saying? And you look at the funding of those studies and you say, oh, USA powerlifting, what's going on there?
Yeah, I might be behind that with how much it drives me up a wall here and that.
Funnel a little bit to it here and there, right? Noah Foreman. Yes, Gino, you heard him. This is the first beyond 600-pound squat on the day, and with way more in the tank, Noah Foreman done and dusted. Alfonso Montalvo, not to be outdone, says anything you can do, I can do at least as well. Got to hit it first. His jump is 17 and a half, as Noah's was just 12 and a half. But, I mean, if they arrive at the same formula, it doesn't really matter how you got there.
So that's a situation where we'll see the flight order change because it's always going from least attempted to heaviest attempted. So before Noah went last in the flight, Alfonso goes last in the flight now because we do have that lot number tiebreaker where Alfonso has the higher lot number.
You bet he does. He's got just the same squat number put up on the board. 2 600-pound squats at a 9:19 p.m. kind of liminal time between sleeping and waking for most of us who have been up all day long.
And this is an interesting factor that we have to take in as well. Is
Please
if
do.
These lifters are lifting typically training early in the morning and they're in bed at this time at night, this could affect them a lot, especially as we get later into this meet.
Undeniably. I heard a few say that once everything clears out for each of these days and everybody's gone home in this whole venue in the ballroom kind of here of Lombard is empty, that they allow you to lift on the platforms here at kind of the time that you want. Like if you want to get that practice in, practice how you play.
Oh, it's interesting. It's nice that they let them come in here.
Isn't that super cool? Yeah, I thought this stuff isn't locked up, lock and key. Like, wow. Not that anybody would be nefarious about it, but oh my goodness. Can you imagine what one single, let's say the TSS combo rack, your power bar, and these USA Powerlifting branded plates runs?
Oh, yeah. This is some of the top-notch equipment that you can get on the market.
And they busted out the branded plates for these kind of much, much larger competitions, as I understand.
Right.
See, this is my first time at Nationals. That's what I haven't gotten to tell everybody, or maybe I've chosen to maybe omit that small detail to a few. But, right, it is my first Nationals experience, too, and I'm digging it. I'm taking it in like a fan whenever I get the chance.
Yeah, you got to. We got hours and hours and hours of lifting. I think they started at 8 a.m. this morning. We're probably going to go well into the night tonight. It's just an all-day event of high-level lifting, the best lifters in the country, the best lifters that USA Powerlifting has to offer.
Oh, yeah. Rome Randall will cap his squat on a 200 keys. It's 441 in pounds. Man, could you imagine from that grind to polish it off? He won't quite get there. David Kripke will, but at what cost on the 230? He comes up saying, ooh, good night.
And this is one of those situations where I think you got to scratch that third. If you're a really good puller, that could affect you late into this meet, and you do not want to end up with a squat failure or 2 RP10 squats. You know, saving that extra attempt where you might add 2.5 or 5 kilos onto your total, that could add 7.5 to 10 on your deadlift later in the meet. You just got to play the game. A lot of times this comes down to who is the better power lifter, not who is the strongest lifter, and you have to be a smart power lifter. Make the right attempt selection.
Do you know who just told me that as a coach who made some amazing calls? Dane Roach, USAPL Michigan State chair. Dane's also reffing at some point. You never see him, but he's always there kind of guy, right? And he coached Mark Leonard, who was the Masters 125 champ. Mark hit a 790 total. There were 2 guys to pull beyond him. Right. So ridiculous total to begin with. 2 guys to pull beyond him who had the strength but did not execute on their thirds. Mark goes 9 for 9. Those 2 both pull after him, miss. And Dane said that shows who was the better power lifter, not who was stronger.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's a sport at the end of the day, and you have to be able to play the sport. You have to be able to make the right attempt selection calls, and can you hit when the time matters? Sometimes people shine under the light. Some people crumble under the light.
Shane Melcher had that neon tint of the black kit with the A7. That is capital DRIP, drip. You look good and you lift good. I could say that in every single flight because there's always somebody that stands out with a little flashier kit. Luis Alvarez on our right, 237.5. On our left, Anthony Kopetka. Anthony's 205. It hit back, but he should hit it. And there's 3 whites. Luis in a reasonable range on his second, but I'm thinking not 10 kg again for his next jump, right? Something less?
Yeah, maybe like 5 to 7.5. Again, you're trying to build a total here and staying a little bit more conservative on those last jumps and ensuring that you get something on the board is sometimes better than overshooting.
Andrew Vaversik. This is 240. It's just 2.5 under his competition squat PR set at Michigan State Championships primetime in November. Jaden Palladian out of gas, but Dubs looking like he's got more. Man, if he wants another 10, I would believe it. I expect that that's not going to be his attempt, but I think it would be there too. Dubs is an insane puller, a 292.5 deadlift best.
Yeah, I mean, that's no joke. That's a great weapon to have in your back pocket. See him adjusting the rack here. Almost shifted it to the right. Yeah, but a big deadlift is a good tool to have later in the meet when it comes down to changing attempts. Who's going to pull last? Who's going to have the final say in what the total will be?
I don't think I caught that Zion Stevens did not pass his first squat. Shame on me. He got reds on the left and the center. He smoked it. I presumed it had passed, but now a more interesting second.
And, you know, making the smart attempt selection call, that's what we're talking about when we say be the better power lifter.
Yes.
Load it, hit depth, and then let's move on.
Matthew Sacco unloads his tank. Zion Stevens at the bottom and up, and lights, camera, action.
See there for Zion, I mean, he hit depth there, but you could see how uncomfortable it looked for him to drop it down that deep.
I know.
That's why you reload it. That's why you get this short attempt. The first one flew. Don't get greedy. Reload it and put yourself into a position that's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. That's the difference between a good power lifter and a great power lifter. Great job from Zion.
There's no doubt. I knew it was awkward. I knew it was off balance. I knew there was probably more knee over toe than he was looking for. And I still knew it was going to fly because of what we saw in the opener. I said, he'll be fine.
Right.
He'll live with it because it's a number on the board, man. It's Leandro Munoz on our right side. Again, do not adjust your device or reload the stream. You're seeing a 260. Eric Lapointe will round out with just a minimum jump, 242.5 on your left. Leandro, second verse is not the same as the first. That had bites.
And Eric Lapointe, I mean, that squat looked easy. You got to think that he's saving some in the tank for deadlifts. Guy's a killer deadlifter, opening up with 305 later today. He for sure should be our last deadlifter in the flight, and I'm very excited to see him pull.
Brother, I just threw up in my mouth. Could you say that again, opening with 305?
305 as a 75-kilo lifter.
What on earth or some other planet is that? Dog, I ain't never. That's absurd. And no one is safe. Alex Lejeune is, man, folded with the +5. Third squats are maybe a little bit trickier than we would have predicted here. Dylan Capico, he wants a 501 and some change. Let's see it for him. And he'll shake it off quick, too. Dylan was up at the top of the flight. You mentioned we proceed throughout in order of lightest to heaviest weight lifted. Denzel Johnson, though, he is going to take that same weight at 227.5 kg. Again, lot number, the most riveting detail that's in the very tiny back fine print of the rule book that technically you need to know.
Right, yeah, it's randomly assigned to you, so you have no control over it. Nobody has any control over it. It's right there in LiftingCast where they just press a generate lot number button, and, you know, sometimes it works in your favor, sometimes it doesn't.
Marvin was on his way to one of the great squats in the annals of history of grinds.
There was a part of me that believed for a second watching that one.
Belief is so dangerous, Lance, let me tell you. Belief will either lift you up in the clouds or it will crush you into a ball when it's just sucked away. Oh, he never really gave up to it, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, and usually when you see a grind like that, it's either there or it isn't. And there was a bit of like upward motion.
It still moved.
Made me think that he had it there for a second.
I know. All of our 75s, just a reminder, are ridiculous. Our quote-unquote lightest teens at 195. That's the lightest couple of numbers that we've got up on the board. Everybody way beyond 500 pounds here at the bottom of it. Joseph on our right, 230. Great catch. The rear spotter has one of the worst jobs in the world.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest ones because, especially with these low bar squatters, they get so hinged over, and you kind of have to hinge over with them. You know, you're dodging all the muscle mass that they have. It's a good thing we have our side spotters and the extra spotters on the side.
And you add even more of them when the squat gets heavier, right? You've been there.
Right. Once you get over that certain amount of 220 kilos, we have to add in the fourth and fifth spotter.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 people on either side of the bar, 2 people grabbing each side of the plates, and then 1 back spotter.
Yeah, perfect example on our right side of your 4 side spotters, everybody ready to cup that thing and make a heroic save. But you can't think that way. You can only grind and knock out your 230 kg third. And then likely go a little crazy. Garrett Lockwood on a 270, and he'll ditch that quick.
That was a great catch from our spotters and loaders. Right out of the hole, they grab them and bring them back to safety.
You think people forget that 270 is like the weight of 3 grown American men?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of weight right there. 270 kilos, 595 pounds.
Oh, yeah. When you're in your normal gyms and you're training without those competition collars, that's 5 red round things.
That's right.
Noah Foreman, he's already got a 600 on the board. He said, still hungry. He said, I want that 4th meal, right? Like everyone at Taco Bell and got the 4th meal a little later at night. It's about that time, you know what I mean? If you glance down at the clock. He says, give me more. 280 is his 3rd choice. 617 and some change for Noah Foreman. The 75s just reaching deeper in the bag, and he gnashed his terrible teeth, and he roared his terrible roar, because this is where the wild things are, man. Gnats.
And Alfonso coming up next. He's looking to match that as well. We are being treated to some amazing powerlifting, top-of-the-notch powerlifters. This is what USAPL is all about.
Alfonso Montalvo on a 280 has been so technically sound and under control for the first 2 and wants to just let it all out. Alfonso with a 5 all-time best on the bar. And you know that all-time low tune, why do all the monsters come out at night, man?
Wow. I mean, incredible squat. It gave him some work towards the middle, and he grinds right through.
Just bear witness for a few and let that simmer, soak in it, and then we got to move on. No matter how long I could talk about it, which is forever and a day, that's the most kind of disjointed, the most jarring thing about a powerlifting meet is, okay, I've never seen that before, and then I gotta move on.
Right.
Charles Montgomery now on our right side. We'll get platform 3 off your screen in a moment, but it's now flipped over for the bench press. After you complete those squats, you got 10 minutes of what you call changeover time, and that timer is already running. Charles, whoa. He's got his hands on the bar, but, man, at what cost? Ow.
Yeah, and hopefully that was just something rolling off of his back and we don't have an actual injury there. And, you know, they always teach you to stay with the bar and never to dump it.
That's the most literal I've ever seen anyone take that advice, man.
Yeah, and him staying with it, like, while it's just falling off of his back, you could tell that wasn't an intentional drop. It
Not
was
at all.
something that happened where, you know, he really didn't have control. He didn't want to let that go. It's just unfortunately what happens sometimes.
Yeah. That was tough to throw at you without introducing it. But all-time low, you know the band I'm talking about? All-time low? No? Okay. It was a worthwhile try. They got this track. It's, you know, why do all the monsters come out at night? I'm telling you, man. The bag continues. The well never runs dry, though. Augustine has a 243rd for himself. We're still going to be almost pushing that 600-pound mark towards the bottom of this flight, too. And Augustine took that for everything it was worth. I think that's when you add a couple of grams and it's not coming up.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see out of your third. Great attempt selection and great execution as well, because you can load whatever you want on that third, even if it's the absolute max that the lifter has. You still need to have that fight in you where if they hit that sticking point that you know they're going to fight through it. That's a great job of the athlete executing and a great job of the coach knowing their athlete that they will push through a squat like that.
Luis Alvarez would probably take himself a little bit easier of an attempt if it should come for him. Luis got a 242.5 here. That's 535, give or take. He'll feel it out on depth, and then he's got one of the smoother thirds we've seen. Is there an extra, like, 2.5 maybe to be had out of that?
Yeah, you can push a little bit more out of that.
Shane Melcher, pardon us. Same attempt here. 242.5 kilos. Fourth from the bottom. Then we'll flip it all over for the bench press soon. Big breath, big brace, big fight. Right towards the middle. Got no issue by me.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough, but it was smooth the entire way. You didn't see any sticking point. No point in that squat where we unsure that he would hit it.
Yeah. Andrew Wawersick, comp PR loaded, saunter, and then ready to attack. He will be one of those who grips a little closer. And I'm telling you, the man's back is made of iron. He does have that heavy forward torso lean into it and a hinge over. And then when you've got nothing left, man, you're out of gas.
Yeah, it just hits that sticking point and can't go through it. Just a little bit too much for him.
Leandro Munoz. This is a retake on 260. Zion Stevens will follow with the heaviest squat for this flight. Not quite the heaviest squat overall, as many, many monsters proceeded on the other platform.
Yeah, reattempt of his second attempt there that just did not go. The hardest things to come back and hit that after missing it.
This is a lifetime squat PR should it come up for Leandro. Qualified from Texas State Championships. And has he brought a little bit more with him to Nats today?
You see a little bit of a hesitation there, and that's all it takes for a squat to go down. This is a game of inches. It's if you mess up one little thing, it could throw everything off. And unfortunately could not get that on the board.
That hesitation was towards like the middle of his descent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot. Like, I see it a lot with my lifters where if they don't have a spotter and they know they're going really heavy, they start thinking of a escape plan, And
Yeah.
you see that hesitation. You're like, hey, listen, like, that's making it so much harder on you. If you just commit to it, you will be fine. You see that hesitation there, and unfortunately cannot get it to go.
Zion qualified through the Georgia State Championships. Weighed in way under for 75 there at just 71.6. A lifetime squat best of 10 keys. Man, that's a lot to add at once. And with a 12.5 jump, not quite. All right, man. We are a full couple of flights in on each platform. Your thoughts on the squats real quick before we blank it all?
A lot of strong lifting from the 75-kilo men. That's probably the battle that I'm most interested in going towards the end. We saw a lot of big squats. We mentioned that we have a lot of big deadlifters coming up. It's going to get exciting towards the end once we start jockeying for position.
Yeah, absolutely bet. About 4.5 minutes time, we'll return platform 3 over to your screen. But little bit of changeover time coming with the bench press. Tanner White alongside Lance London with the final session of the day. And now we make a successful return for platform 3, ready to bench. Those rack heights adjusted, and not a whole lot else to tell you the truth, but you always get that 10 minutes pause between each of the disciplines just for those changes and things. And if you're smart, well, you step out, you get a little snack, you get a little hydration. You see the loaders walking by you, and they're drenched, and they're breathing heavy, and they are exhausted.
Yeah, one of the more thankless jobs in the sport, and something that really goes unnoticed, is how hard these guys work. They're loading thousands and thousands and thousands of total volume of pounds throughout the entire weekend.
I think if you're adding up the entire weekend, it's like millions.
It
You know what
might
I mean?
be. It might be.
Yeah, that's what they look like. Our opening bench press is coming. This is flight G. That's the first flight to come here on platform 3. Platform 4 will make its return in about 5.5 minutes, and it'll magically come up on the right side of your screen. Ashlyn Dormany, 67.5. So everybody opening beyond body weight here out of these women's 65s.
That's typically seen as a huge accomplishment to be able to bench your own body weight. But for these lifters, we're talking about some of the best in the nation. They are better than just baseline. This is some of the best lifters that you will see all across the United States.
It's their expectation of themselves. You know what I mean? Where you have gone beyond. You never compare yourself to average anymore. You never compare yourself to who you see in your local gym. You compare yourself to what are other national stage competitors doing.
Right, the best in the world.
And then that iron sharpens iron kind of deal where, okay, I've been watching somebody's training and they hit this, this, and that, and what if they come out to the platform and they do even better, so I got to up my game.
Exactly. And as we spoke about with our spotters and loaders, you're going to see how quickly they change over this platform. It's actually very impressive how quickly they can get the platform ready for the next lifter. And one thing that we always speak about is just the speed and the flow of a meet. And good spotting and loading crew is so important for that good flow. See how they have everybody rushing to get to the platform, change over the weight and change over the rack height, and then get out the way as soon as possible.
I'm told that we don't put that in 2 times speed when we play it up there on the screen, but doesn't it look like it sometimes?
It for sure looks like it. That's like a 10-second turnaround right there, which is awesome timing.
Yeah, unreal. And then remember, you get that full 60-second timer from the moment that the bar is loaded call is made. That doesn't mean, for example, right here, your lifter's not out on the platform yet. That doesn't mean, okay, that's the, full length of the timer. No, it just means they have 60 seconds to get that start command.
Correct. So while we're talking about commands, bench is a little bit different from squat, where you have 3 commands here on the bench. And a good advantage here is that we can see our referee all the way on the left of the screen, so you can kind of see where their hand signals are coming from. But the start command you will be given as soon as you are locked out, the bar's over your chest, the elbows are locked, feet flat on the floor, and your butt flat on the bench. Your butt cannot come up at all throughout the press or until you get the rack command. So once you get that start command, you may lower it to your chest. You get the press command once the bar is motionless on the chest. So it's a common misconception that the bar needs to be there for a certain amount of time. That's not what it is. It just needs to be motionless, and then you get the press command. Once you get the press command, you press and start the concentric portion of the lift, and then once you are locked out with your elbows locked, you will get the rack command from the chief referee.
You miss any one of the 3-2 at any point, DQ. Mackenzie Wank, 77.5. This is 3 consecutive lifters taking that same attempt. And at the very bottom of the flight, our heaviest opener is going to be at 105 keys. Many, though not all, opt for the handoff. That is that little help right there to unrack the bar, get it into position.
Right, it is allowed in the sport, but it has to be from one of the designated spotters and loaders. It cannot be your coach. It cannot be your buddy that comes out. It has to be the same spotter that's going to help you out each time.
And so naturally I've got a story about this, as no one had told me for my first competition ever. I was not aware that you had to first of all, that you had to take the handoff that was there right from, like you said, it's assigned to you, as it were. And I didn't know, you've got to inform them exactly what you're looking for. We all say something when we come up there to them. That's what probably people aren't aware of. And again, I hadn't been told as a competitor. I've now learned the exact verbiage that I will say to everybody who's given that handoff, no matter where I am, no matter at all times. First of all, Emily Matt wants an 80 kg opener. Wow, that is quiet. She could do the little Lay's chip challenge deal where you try not to break it. You've seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, man, of course. So my exact verbiage will be, something like, "Hi, how are you?" Right, just to break the ice. And then I'll say, "Okay, I want to lift off, please. On 3, not after 3. So I will count you down. Say 1, 2, 3. Lift on 3, and then not after 3. I'll repeat it twice."
Yeah, I always tell my athletes you want to be as specific as possible when speaking to the spotter and the loader, because really the biggest thing is there's so much variability between who's going to give you the lift off. Everybody's going to do it differently. The more you describe it, the more accurate it'll be to how you like it.
Mm-hmm.
These guys know what they're doing. They're lifting throughout the entire weekend. They've given so many handoffs throughout the entire weekend. They can tailor it to how you want it. You just have to be specific.
Absolutely. And another factor to it that I had never considered, that I also learned trial by fire in my first meet, is that you've got to, every single time, rehash that. That is, you should probably practice your exact verbiage like I've said, right, and like you've said. Know exactly what you want, but every single time that you come up there, give it as if you were giving it for the very first time to someone that you've never seen before in your life. Because for sort of all that they're concerned, you kind of are.
Yeah, and it's not uncommon to see somebody come up and say, "Oh, just like last time."
Yes. But what was last time?
Yeah, a lot
and
of these
who were you?
spotters have
And where was
no
I?
idea.
I know.
Yeah, they've given there's 930 competitors throughout the weekend. They've given so many liftoffs. They're not going to remember who you are on your second attempt. Rehash it. Make sure they understand what you're looking for.
And not because they don't want to, and not because they don't care, because it is impossible to remember everything about everyone.
Right.
Rachel Hannon. That's a big opener. That's 100 keys. All right. Talk to me on grip width. Where do you set it? How do you coach it?
So there are rings on the bar that are, I believe, 32 inches apart is what the official width is of the power bar. And those rings have to be at least covered if you're going wide. You can be inside of those rings, but if you're going to make your way outside, you need at least to have your pointer finger covering it. So that's the max grip you're allowed. The closest grip you're allowed, your hands can really touch if you really wanted to, as long as that bar gets lower to your chest.
Is that a challenge?
Yeah, we'll mark that down as a challenge.
Yeah.
And the coaching, the way I coach it is you want to get as wide as possible that you're comfortable with your range of motion. Mm-hmm. It shortens your range of motion for the lift, opens the chest up a little bit more. Your chest is a stronger muscle than your triceps are, and you can take advantage of it that way. Some people, they prefer a closer grip, and I don't hate on it if that's what they prefer, but typically a wider bench press is going to be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Lexi Sanders, 60 keys. She, I think, is rocking some degree of a wrist rotation inward, right? Kind of deal? What do you call that?
That's called the bulldog grip. It's what actually famously became a thing when we were talking about maxed grip, because it's a way that they could grip out a little bit further and then start covering the rings.
Because you said it, pointer fingers and rings, all that matters.
Right, but you see that with a lot of other lifters now, because through that they actually discovered that you get a little bit better stability that way. So bulldog grip became so popular.
Jalea Pave out for her second on a 72.5. On your right-hand side, just 5 under that for Nicole Zimmer on her opener. Jalea, clear example of a narrower grip. You see her whole hand inside of the rings of the barbell.
And there is some advantage to that for certain lifters. If they can get their wrist right above their elbow, there is some sort of physics behind that where you have the direct force going straight up, but typically the shorter range of motion overtakes that for advantages. It's like you're trading advantage for disadvantage, but it's really wherever you feel most comfortable.
Sure. And at a point, comfort is the enemy of the best bench press setups. That's something that, I've kind of started to lean more into, and I've had some people really tell me that, no, if you are very comfortable in your bench setup physically, you might need to get your arch a little bit more cranked, get your hands a little bit wider, those kinds of things, for the mechanical advantage, for the leverages that when you are, with as tight of the margins as we've seen from some of these classes, you need to find some slight advantage within the rules to gain.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're lifting weights. Lifting weights is not a comfortable thing. It's painful, You get the burning going on the entire time.
Yeah.
And you look at these lifters who have these huge arches, it's no different. It's going to be an uncomfortable position, but you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And Marie will take some advantage of kind of wiggling her way further to the rack, using her hands to push on each side. Then Marie's 75 opener, whole red round thing on there. Good enough by us. Kaylin Rittenhouse up next on our left side. You have had a successful attempt at least for everybody's squats except Taylor Herring. Unfortunate, the one bomb out. We do see that Taylor is going to take her bench or at least has a bench opener put in. Likely will come out for it. That means she's going to stick around and get that Nationals experience, get those Nationals touches under the bright lights.
Right. Even though that you bomb out, technically you can still finish the meet and finish your lifts. You just cannot register a total.
Mm-hmm. And Taylor Herring will follow Gracie Marshall, who's up right here with 75 keys in a moment. Mackenzie Wank on the left of your screen, 82.5. Gracie Marshall's timer is going to run out. That's a full 60. And so it flops down to Taylor Herring. It's interesting because we just had 3 white lights pop up for an attempt that wasn't taken.
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah, maybe just a glitch in LiftingCast there.
Yeah. But Gracie Marshall didn't come out. That could be a number of different things. She could intentionally choose to scratch that and maybe is just needing some more recovery time. If it's a short turnover, tough to say. Taylor Herring, again, benching for the Nationals touches, for the experience, to get the feeling of the commands and the weight in your hands and all of it. She is going to get reds on the left and right with yellow cards. What do you think that's for?
Usually that means the butt coming up. Our yellow card is a catch-all. It really is anything that isn't the red or blue. The red is very specific. The blue is very specific. But when you see the 2 yellows on either side, that's usually the butt coming off the bench because the side referees have the best look at that. The chief referee will really never really call the butt coming off because you don't really have a view of it.
Yeah.
So whenever you see those 2 yellows on the side, typically indicates the butt coming off the pad.
Emily and Isabella. We've got an 87.5 and a 77.5. Ooh, Isabella has a slower opener than by any means the plan was. Emily and Isabella, however, both pass. They've both got 2-1. And again, with the rapid turnaround, the clearly seems to be sped up footage of the loading of the barbell. Michelle Tran was already out there. Handful of seconds later. Madison Schultz on your left, 92.5. Madison is 3rd from the bottom out of her flight right now. And the max grip width is the prevailing wisdom right now, Lance. We're seeing it play out on our screen. Just as you've said, that it's, for the most part, tends to be the right choice or the stronger choice.
Yeah, the lesser your range of motion, the less you really have to push, and it just comes down to overall tonnage and overall volume, and that's usually the best way to put it.
Another way to frame it too, there's less room for deviation. There is less total that can go wrong when you've got to move it less distance.
Very right.
As there's so many kind of left turns at Albuquerque with a bench press. I really do believe that a lot of that comes down to upper back tightness. That's another buzzword that we love throughout the sport because it does factor into all three disciplines in some kind of way, right?
Yeah, it just creates the most stability, and where the environment is the most stable, you can have the most force output. There's a direct relationship between the two, and if you can create that upper back stability, you'll have a better force output on the bench.
Brianna Jacobs, 110 on your left. Red Pope, 95 on your right. That will be one of the closest grips that we'll see. Red Pope nearly all the way to the smooth of the barbell or inside of that knurling, that rough stuff.
Yeah, usually not my preferred method, but it works out for him there.
Brianna Jacobs, 110, back in the rack. And subtotals going to start stacking up as we get to third benches. The subtotal refers to the sum of the best squat plus best bench attempt registered. Boy, say that 5 times fast. Leo Almquist, a 97.5 opener. Leo missed 2 squats after a 17.5 jump. It was always going to be a real tough ask of himself. And so if the plan the rest of the day becomes more conservative, that would make sense from here.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta make a little bit of a detour in the plans. If things don't go well on squat, you gotta conserve as much kilos as possible.
Ashlyn Dormany said, nah, that doesn't feel quite right off the chest. But minimum jumps, I'm telling you, 2.5 Ks are really, really tricky. And third benches, everybody says it, and it's real statistically evident to see too, the most commonly missed lift throughout the meet.
And here's the thing about making a 2.5 kilo jump. If you make a 2.5 kilo jump and you fail, technically you still reach the maximum amount that you would have been able to lift that day. Because the 2.5 kilos is the smallest increment that you can make.
Yep.
So there, she lifts 2.5 kilos below it, but that's really the max she had on the day because she didn't have anything more than that. So even though it goes down as a failed lift, she knows she got her max.
Jalea Pave scalding an 80. It's 176 and some change. We keep on moving. The third attempts for Flight G on platform 3 on your left. Audrey Richards up on your right side. This is the top of the flight there. Still pretty close to synced between our two platforms. Audrey's going to bury her 50 kg second. Ciara Leiter on your right. Pardon us, on our left. Ayla Smith is also out with an 82.5. She did miss it, though, and so that's the one difference between the two. Retake on 82.5. Lexi Sanders on your right, 67.5. All open 65 kilo women's competitors for Flight G on your left. There's a lot going on in Ayla's elbows, but my guess is that's still going to pass?
Yeah, a little bit of a struggle there. Might get, no, there you go, get 3 white lights for her. Was worried with the struggle there that you might get a little bit up and down movement, but it did look good to me, and it seems like the judges agree.
Up and down, remember, marked by the blue cards, and it does, that same blue card does exist across all 3 disciplines. Any of the downward dip and then restart, Kaylin Rittenhouse on her 85 was made to stall for a couple of seconds, and then the limit hit.
Like we said, 2.5 kilo jump really doesn't miss out on anything there.
And it is the best miss for what it's worth that you could make as well, because you only lose, quote unquote, that 2.5 off of your total.
Right.
Mackenzie Wank would have a plus 7.5 to a bench performance that was really solid for her at, like I say, the USAPL Michigan State Championships prime time. And that was an invite only, kind of all-star game type of session. And she's brought way more with her to Nats today. Let's see if the 7.5 wants to come up. And with no further ado, Dustin. Man, 7.5, a lot to add on your bench at once.
Yeah, and especially in a short time span like that. Bench is usually the more tricky ones that it's got to go through, and especially if you're maintaining the same body weight.
Brianna Donatucci's 75. She's got that whole red round thing on there. That'll pass on her second bench. That's all good. Paige Skriel the third on your left. Man, that looks
up and down there.
Yeah, that looks really fast, but there's a hitch in it somewhere probably. Now, you can do that sort of dreaded double pause, and yet it works. You get just the one red with the yellow card on the left.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that yellow card was. Like we said, it could be a plethora of things. It's really our catch-all. There's nothing I saw that could have warranted yellow. Maybe if her butt came up a little bit and only one judge caught it.
Right.
But nonetheless, a good lift.
Emily Matt on 92.5. This is a 5 jump. Now that's had a couple of the ups and downs, and so then business decision. Taylor Herring again on a 77.5. Hasn't been the start to the day she was looking for, but I'm telling you, you stick around and you have an opportunity to build a tremendous amount of character in her position, to learn a lot about yourself and the sport.
Yeah, and just getting experience at a national meet, being on the bright light stage like this with the best referees that you can possibly get. You can't take that experience for granted, so good for her staying out here.
Marie Leonard, 80 keys is her second bench put in. Madison Schultz, 95. I'm telling you, the 5 into the 2.5 has been such a good play for so many really good women's benchers on the day, just like this. But still, even those minimums are just exponentially heavier than they would, that you would weigh them when you put them out on the bar. It's strange to explain. That gravity, gets turned up.
Here goes Rachel Hanan, 232 pounds from Alaska.
The bottom of the flights come now. Rachel Hannon, a 105 to cap it. Brianna Jacobs will follow. Rachel got no issues, got no resistance throughout that. That's a stunningly quick third.
Yeah, and just a 2.5 kilo jump from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. Very consistent, very small jumps, but it works out for her there.
Brianna Jacobs, 115. That'll be 2 jumps of 5 apiece. No joke. This is a +5 lifetime PR on the bar. Brianna wants to get it the hard way, and that's all at once. Off of the chest and not a whole lot else. Not quite on 115. Brianna rounds out her flight. We will go over to flight H on platform 3. Still in the middle of second attempts for flight G on platform 4. Isabella Idades. Her 82.5, man.
Yeah, just going to stall out there.
Long stall. Made to fight that for, 4 or 5 seconds?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to come back and hit that on her third. She's going to have to contemplate whether she wants to scratch that or not, or maybe it was a position issue, but not looking good.
Not ideal. Rome Randall on our left, 102.5 keys.
Yeah, 226 pounds. That's a lifetime milestone for most people. 2 plates on the bench when you're talking pound plates, freedom units.
Everybody knows him, man. It's in the back of every powerlifter's mind. Whether we want to be able to turn that noise off, we can't.
Right.
Michelle Tran, 85 keys. Taking a while to get set before her start command will ever come. But then when she does, just toss it out the window.
Yeah, very smooth attempt there. Never a doubt.
Tyler Weingartner on our left. He's got 105 keys. All 75 kilo competitors, remember, on the left now for flight H. It begins with our teens, and then it proceeds down to our opens. The lightest bench opener among the opens is over 300 pounds here out of these 75s. Man, you know, there's levels to it.
There
and you
really
find
is.
out at Nats, don't you? Jaden sets up
And we
on.
see a second failed attempt there from Emily Gardner.
Yeah.
Gamber.
Yeah, that's real tricky because even 2 minimum jumps still leaves you in a hole. It's obviously a retake for the third, I think, right? That is no longer in question.
Yeah, you can't keep jumping and getting aggressive when you can't get one on the board. It's a risky game to play, and you see it there coming into play.
Emily did put in that 87.5 one more time. But now you got to have it to post a total. Leo Almquist on 100. Nishan Simon on 120, coming on your left. Leo will float that, and that looked like a minimum. He might want to dig in the tank. Nishan's 120, not an issue at all. 120 keys will come out again for Alex Lejeune.
Yeah, that's one of those attempts where you just have the green light on the second to do really whatever you want, top end.
Red Pope on our right coming up. Or pardon us, Red Pope's got the 3 whites and Cohen Freeman up next. Alex on the left. Not an issue. That should be 3 whites, we thought, by us. We continue to see so few command issues.
Yeah,
as if they're not being held to that strict standard. That's not it at all. It's the practice and then practice, or, you know, play how you practice kind of deal.
That's really not something that we typically see at national meets, that you would see somebody missing a command. You know, these are lifters who are very experienced. They had to have a qualifying total to get here in the first place. So at a lot of local meets, you'll see people either forgetting commands or not even knowing that there are commands in the first place.
Sometimes.
At nationals, you don't really see that, and if you do, that's just a rookie mistake that shouldn't happen at a level like this.
Cohen Freeman did not like the look of his 132.5 off the chest, and it did not come up. Angel, now Anthony on your left. Anthony's got the full 2 reds. Remember, the pair of red plates is 50 kilos. That means 1 red plate, 25. Multiply that 50 by 2, that's 100. Add the 20 kilo power bar, that's 120. And your competition collars adds 5 total. Anthony Kopetka on 2 reds, and there's a whole lot more there.
Yeah, very smooth opener. We're seeing that a lot with a lot of these lifters, and that's exactly what you want to see on an opener. Something that leaves more in the tank, really just getting you on the board and setting the tone for the second and third to come.
Bars ready on 3 for Jason.
Jason Zong.
Alfonso.
Already had a big squat banked up. Hit a 260 for his third and a 142.5 opener. It's the quote-unquote lightest, again, among all of our open 75s. And it's still pushing twice body weight.
And it's another one of those lifts that's really just a milestone. Technically 314 pounds. It's not that 315.
I know.
I mean, I'll count it with the chalk on the bar. It's probably 315. But,
I know.
You know, in pound plates, that's your third plate on there. And he just makes it look so easy as his opener, following the trend of the ones before him.
And the difficulty, too, is you go to that next 2.5 denomination, and it's 145, and that's like 319-ish, which you can't even do in the pounds, and it's like, what do I do about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Lexi Sanders, 72.5 for her third. Budged, but not much more.
Yeah, that was just tough from the start, and you think she's got a little bit of a hamstring cramp there. These lifters are using a lot of leg drive, staying very tight in the legs and pushing out into the floor, allowing them to drive the weight up a little bit more. And sometimes when you have that much tension on the legs, you start to cramp. And it's not the first time we've seen it today. It's definitely not going to be the last time we've seen it throughout the weekend. Just catches a cramp and can't get that one done.
And consider having to hang out much of the day and make weight. Consider, did you maybe not get to drink everything that you wanted to, eat everything that you wanted to, take in electrolytes as you normally would for like a training day, man. If you're pushing that cap, then sometimes that's just what it's got to be.
Right, we mentioned it earlier. It's a 2-hour weigh-in, and 2 hours is not a lot of time if you're totally water cutting and getting dehydrated just to make weight. You know, you're not going to totally rehydrate within that time, especially when you have something like squats coming up where you totally don't want to be bloated for squats. And sometimes we see that effect come in. I don't know if she water cut into this, but that could be the case.
Matthew Sacco rocked the 150. All of these benches coming from this point onward in the flight, over twice body weight for everybody, no matter what they weighed in. You get to weigh all the way up to that cap for your class, right?
Right. So you can weigh in at exactly 75 kilos, but you cannot go 75.1. Once you're at 75.1, got to find out something, you know. Like I said before, I've had it to the point where, you know, you step on the scale, you have socks on. It's like, take those socks off. Those that extra 0.5 kilos could do you good.
Oh, yeah. And that the unfortunate kind of uncomfortable truth to making weight there, weighing in, too. You may choose to do so in whatever attire that you need to.
Correct.
Right? Gently said.
Correct.
However that should look for you, you can do it. Eric Lapointe, 155 kg, same as Marvin before him.
We mentioned Eric being such a good puller, and usually when you see someone with a really good deadlift, you see them with, you know, a below average bench, but that's really not the case for Eric. A very strong bench for a 75 kilo lifter here. 155 opening up. 341 pounds.
Yeah, you got to kind of like his ratio. With an insane deadlift, it doesn't look totally out of place by any means.
Right.
And he looks like he's right where he wants to be on a 155. All right. Openers knocked out every single one. I'm going to go ahead and take a risk here on a jinx. Every single bench opener out of Flight H successful so far.
Yeah, and like I said, this is kind of what you see at these national meets where people are smarter about attempt selection. You don't really see someone coming out here and failing an attempt that they really should be able to hit. The old announcer's jinx is looming now, though. We got 2 left to go, and you spoke it, so hopefully Noah Foreman can hit now.
Listen, man, you ever heard of Jim Nance?
Yes.
And how many decades has Jim Nance been doing this? And how many great events that have shaped the world and the history of sports have been blamed on that man? More than we care to admit. Noah Foreman.
All right,
just
looks like you're going to be safe for another attempt. You got one more to go.
I know. He lofts the 160, a helium bar perhaps, and Garrett Lockwood at the bottom. I think just to spite me, he wanted to be quite that heavy. He wanted to take 180.
180, 396, just below 400 pounds, our heaviest bench. we're still in the 75 kilo weight class, and you know, bench probably the most influenced by your body weight. So to be pushing nearly 400 pounds as a 75 kilo lifter is incredibly impressive.
Isabella Idades is just ground down to the studs and runs out of room. Garrett Lockwood obliterates 180. A all green everything column. Again, these results, what do we talk about, all these magical lights, and how do I follow them, and how do I see who's doing what where? Go on to LiftingCast.com. 2026 USA Powerlifting Youth and Raw Nationals Day 1. Our two platforms are Platform 3 and 4. And that's where you find all these magical results. Rome Randall, to our left of screen, 107.5. Marie Leonard rounding out her bench with the 82.5 and down and up fairly quick. Rome Randall, 5 jump for him. All right, man, I keep talking to judges all the time who tell me they want to see that lifter descend slower because they will, in almost all cases, give a quicker press command. Believe it or not believe it?
I believe it. Like I said, we're waiting for that motionless bar on the chest, and I guess the fact that it's getting there slower, they can see when it's going to get motionless on the chest quicker. So it makes sense to me.
Gracie Marshall got 82.5 for all it was worth. 3 white lights on the board. Emily Gamber has that bench to stay in it coming up next. Jaden Poladian, a 115, 5 kilo jump.
Emily Gamber in a very tough position here. Needs to hit this to stay in the meet. And this is the risk you run when you decide to move up after failing your first. Remember, she cannot go back down in attempt selection. She's stuck at the 87.5, and she presses it out.
Found one further gear, shifted up into it, and even took a while to comb through those other gears, right? Like it was a little slower to get going.
Yeah, and, you know, sigh of relief, really, for her.
Yeah.
There, that she gets to stay in the meet. We don't get to see another bomb out there, so good for her.
I think you were going to say fresh air. We don't get that around here. Like, not only are you crammed inside for a very, very long time, as you've been here all day long, but also fresh air and, like, the strength sports. Like, these are very big people on average. There's lots of sweat. There's lots of odors.
Feel the body heat in the
Yeah.
back. Yep. The
Fresh
chalk
air is
flying
not
around.
what exactly. It's not how I describe it.
Baby powder when we get to the deadlifts. Everything.
Always. Tyler Weingartner, 117.5, his second bench. And then the whole pit crew into the frame for just a couple of seconds. Michelle Tran, a 5 jump, and I'm telling you, 5 into 2.5 has been more successful for almost every single female competitor in nearly all of our weight classes.
The lighter you get, the more those bigger jumps affect you. And we said that you want to take an opener that is a sure thing. So that's going to often lead to that easy first attempt where you're like, man, I could take 5 kilos right here. You throw the 5 kilos on, then it doesn't move so well, and then you got to put the 2.5 on. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
Red Pope will take 2 5s apiece, and Red will knock it all out. Fired up to saunter off. Red Pope, 3 for 3 on the bench. Nashawn Simon, 130. This is Flight H's second bench attempts. Alex Lejeune. That was almost imperceptibly off of his chest.
Yeah, you know, just unfortunately not going to go for him there. Still got that third, but
yeah, but now it's 10 up, man.
Yeah, 10-kilo jump is very aggressive.
The risk that you run. Leo Almquist, 107.5 keys. Got a subtotal at 275. That's beyond 600 pounds between his best squat and bench. What'd you see?
See a little up and down on the right, but it looks like he's excited. He might have gotten the lights before us. You get one blue card from the front, so there was someone who saw it, but 2-1 is all you need. He gets the lift on the board.
He definitely saw it before you and I both, because I thought, oh, there was something to that too.
Yeah, a little shaky.
Yeah. Angel will not see that 132.5 in those same cavalcade of lights. That certainly signals retake to me. And Cohen Freeman is, in fact, on a retake. His third bench comes at 132.5. 5 are out there for his subtotal. Would run that to 315.
Interesting. He did the same thing on his second attempt where he turns his head to the right.
Yeah.
Can't remember what his opener looked like, but it was something that was so glaring to me on his second. Then he just fails it right off the chest. I don't know if that's a reaction thing, if there was something going on his right side that just didn't feel right, that kind of jerked his head to the side, but definitely not the conventional style of bench press that you see. You usually want to keep your head straight forward.
And I've heard some say mash the head and or your upper back into the bench. You heard about that? Have you ever used it or coached that way?
Yeah, and I think that started out when we had the ruling where you had to keep your head flat on the pad. They recently got rid of that rule because they said it didn't really aid the lifter as much. And it's just really another thing for the referees to pay attention to. So for the fact that it's not aiding them much, they got rid of that rule.
Alfonso Montalvo is cooking. He's got a 430 subtotal. That 455 is when you go beyond 1,000 pounds between your sum of the 2 best lifts from the first 2 disciplines. And that's before you've ever put a deadlift up. Insanity.
Yeah, that's incredible. 1,000-pound total is something that a lot of people strive for over their lifetime, and for him to do that in just a subtotal just really shows you what type of level of competition that we're talking about here.
Garrett Lockwood, the one guy that was going to have a really good chance at it. Others, depending on what they take for their bench, might have a chance, but Garrett Lockwood is highly likely to get that 1,000-pound subtotal secure. Jason Zong, 152.5. All good there. Matthew Sacco, 155 next on your left. Luis Alvarez, 127.5 on your right. He has the second bench attempt here out of the openers for Flight H. Flight H once more features all men's Raw Open 75s, but you got one junior. The double entrant is Shane Melcher. Matthew Sacco takes a few moments to feel out his grip. And then 155 loaded. Andrew Wawersick, dubs on your right side, 132.5.
And not going to go there for Matthew Sacco.
It is not, like capital N, not. And then 5 jumps is, oof. Obviously retake comes, right?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, anytime you're failing on strength, there's no real option there other than to retake it. You're just playing with fire there.
Eric Lapointe is 165 kg now for his second bench. David Krupka, 135.
Yeah, 10-kilo jump here for Eric. Very aggressive for a 75-kilo lifter. 165 going all the way up to 363. Like we spoke about, lifters who are really good deadlifters usually aren't the best benchers, but he's putting an end to that stigma here.
That's 10 more, and I'm convinced personally. I don't expect 10 again because 20 is just a lot to move along your bench timeline, but if it's 5 to 7.5, I will be, content on that, right?
Yeah.
I would understand that.
Here comes Johnson on 4. Let's see it, Heather.
Denzel Johnson just shook that spotter off. He says, nope, don't need that handoff.
Yeah, sometimes the self handoff can be helpful in terms of the fact that you're not really relying on somebody else to understand exactly what you need. Spoke about it earlier where you want to be as descriptive as possible, but even sometimes that's not enough. So here he takes that variable out of it where it's just him.
And that is really a practice how you play situation in so many cases. When you are able to, in training, I am always taking the handoff or I am never taking the handoff. When you're able to control that and you do exactly the same that you've practiced hundreds, thousands of reps of, it really pays off on a national stage.
Yeah.
Marvin on our left, that's a huge jump. That's a 12.5. He jumped big for his squat too, but the bench fought back here. And then where do you go from there, man?
Yeah, 12.5, you're getting really aggressive. Like I said, you're playing with fire there. So not going to get it on the board. And really, when you're failing on strength, there's no other way to go other than to reload it and just hope for the best. But, it's not looking good for him there.
It's true. Garrett Lockwood down at the very bottom of the flight because that's the heaviest bench. It's 190 keys. Hitting just this second bench takes his subtotal over 1,000 pounds.
At 419 pounds, just making it look so easy.
I've run out of the words for it. I think for now I'm going to recharge and get back when he's down there at the bottom of the flight again, and he inevitably puts in something that makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? I'm going to find some different term or descriptor for it. Wheels are turning, Lance. I'll get there. You know when they would have been turning a lot quicker? It would have been like 10:30 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, we're getting to that point.
Feels like a while ago, doesn't it?
Once deadlifts start up, that's when that energy starts going.
Oh, yeah.
Music gets louder, weight gets heavier, Gino gets going.
Rome Randall made to hold that a little while. Now, after your start, we'll get to the chest. Had the up and down, and then no more. 5 and 5 makes But if you throw it up an X, that's like 10 in the Roman numerals. You know what I mean? And clearly, we've seen that trying to jump 10 across your 2 jumps with bench can be too much.
Right, and it's like we spoke about with Eric Lapointe coming up. Like, he had the opportunity to go 20, and he ended up going another 7.5 instead. So we'll see how that ends up for him. But like you said, it's really just the total amount that you're jumping. You just got to take one in between.
Yeah, you bet. Augustine on our right. He's got a 150. Again, everything beyond this point is over twice body weight. Augustine weighed in at 73.8 kg. I was going to say this morning. I said, no, not at all this morning. That was this evening.
Yeah, 6:30 we started weigh-ins for this group.
You bet. That was just a knee-jerk reaction. It's, usually this morning with the 2-hour weigh-ins, typically you have most of your local level competitions, roughly 9 a.m. starts.
Right.
But totally bucking that trend for this week. Leandro Munoz, 152.5 after Augustine dusts his bench opener.
More than twice his body weight. Here comes Tyler on 3. And here's Brendan Cameron, 125 pounds.
Leandro's all-time competition best, 170 kilos. It would require something frankly aggressive to get there, just based on the opener. But I say that before I've watched it. Now I do think I'm going to stick with that sentiment. What would you do for the second for Leandro?
I think you got to go 5. 7.5 seems pretty tough. That was a little bit sticky for him.
Yeah. And expended a lot of energy on 2 squats that were not at his standard, right? You had all yellows, if I recall, with those.
Yeah, 260, failed it twice on strength. Takes a lot out of you, especially on squat.
Jesse Rodriguez, 160 to open, 353 or so. and he's gonna toss that
No lift on, 3 white lights on 4.
dirt off his
No
shoulder.
lift on 3. Here comes
That's
round
just
number
the
2,
second
298.
heaviest
Then
opener
Anthony
for the
on
flight,
3.
though,
Bars
as our 75s continue to
ready
just
on
push
3.
our boundaries of understanding, of our physiology, and where the limits of the sport sit in our minds.
I got
Dylan
Alex on
Kabiko,
3.
162.5.
And this is Jaden Lee on 2, 275. And in the silver medal position,
Alex Lejeune, 135 on your left. And not a whole lot of movement.
Yeah, it's about what you expect when you see a 5-kilo jump after a failure beforehand.
Dylan got way more after that 162.5 for the heaviest opener.
Yep, that's a green light right there.
Absolutely.
Open the playbook, play around a little bit, see what you can get.
He missed 7.5 by missing his third squat. He's one of those rare guys. He might be able to make that all up on his bench.
Yeah,
and then stick with the deadlift plan.
With how well that flew, I wouldn't doubt it.
Charles Montgomery took the don't let go of the bar more literal than we've probably ever seen anybody. Anthony Kopetka here got that grind for all it was worth and got a 303 on the board.
Yeah, it goes to show you that bail on the squat earlier today from Charles was definitely not intentional, as you're seeing.
No, it's not intentional, but it is likely to affect him the rest of the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you have to sit under a bar that long, and that's going to affect you a little bit.
308 pounds for LeSean, 292 pounds for Luis on 4. LeSean on 3.
Luis Alvarez, Nashawn Simon on your right and left.
No lift on 3.
Nashawn, man, kind of the same deal on that 10 kg. It's sort of like, remind me the last time that we saw somebody not at the very bottom of the flight hit a 10 kg jump on their bench, you know?
Yeah, I mean, those are very aggressive jumps on the bench, and that's kind of what you run into when you see that.
There's been a few dotted up and down that have made as much as a 10 jump and been successful, but just not many. Matthew Sacco, 155. +5 on the lifetime PR on the bar on your left of screen. Andrew Wawersick. Dubs should rock a 303. Matthew Sacco. Oh, his right arm might have betrayed him. Little unevenness, and then that's just always going to make finishing it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, just unfortunately a little bit too much on the day for Matthew there.
Remember, unevenness of the press not necessarily cause for a DQ of the lift itself. It just, like I say, it's going to make it more tricky. You've seen some circuitous bar paths to, kind of put it nicely, right, when one arm really is most of the way locked and the other arm is barely getting started.
For sure.
Hard to battle back from that. David Krupka on the 140. His second bench looks right in range.
Yeah, he's probably got another 5 on there.
Yeah. Jason Zong, see, his right wrist is fighting for all it's worth.
Yeah,
it did lock.
You're totally okay to lock out unevenly as long as that bar does not dip down, and it looks like that's what the case was there.
Shane Melcher, 142.5. That command is quick coming for Shane.
Yeah, and that could have to do with him getting the bar motionless quicker, or it can just be the human element coming into refereeing. We see it with every sport. We see it with whether that's basketball, football, baseball. All these refs are humans, and different judges are going to judge it differently and give you a different press commands. It's like when you watch a basketball game and you see that they're letting them play more, where there's less fouls being called, or where they're calling it very tight, where there's more fouls being called. There's a human element to refereeing, and sometimes you get away with that, sometimes you don't. And in this case, we're seeing some pretty quick press commands, and that's all right. That's just how they let them play.
Yeah, in general, as I think most lifters like to, I don't want to say like to complain about, but if you were to pick some of the most common, gripes that a lifter has, I think it would be being made to hang out with the thing on your chest, right?
Yeah.
And we have seen very little of that. Wow, Marvin with the improbable 12.5 retakes and should smack, from what we saw, that third. Oh, I lied. Yellow?
Oh, he beat the press command.
Okay.
And that's one of those things, like, you just can't have that at a national meet. This is a meet where people are experienced, and those rookie mistakes aren't going to fly and can really hurt your performance.
That is one thing that we can't see, but we can hear, as it were, because, again, that referee, they do give that visible hand signal. It's just out of our camera frame and your view. Noah Foreman, 172.5. It's a competition best, looking to chip his Ron-ass performance from last year in Georgia. I heard the conditions in Atlanta were dramatically different, but just like you talked like the natural disaster of the like lights went out. Who did you say was under the bar with the crazy squat?
Eric Lapointe, who's coming up next on the bench. He was unracked his squat totally, and we were in the middle of a thunderstorm, and the lights go out.
And we've had some light issues. I'm telling you, we've had alarms going off today, and just so many impossible to predict things that it's like, all right, one more stimuli, one more little distraction to block out for everybody up there on the platform.
380 here for Eric Lapointe.
It is a nasty number, and we say that respectfully. But he will also come up empty. That was for a competition PR match from Ron Nats from 24. Since 2019 that Nationals have been away from Lombard, and they returned back here at 2019 field absolutely stacked. I mentioned it before we went on air, man. The field just looks so different now because such a new wave has come into USAPL, right? There's just a different generation that's already within these 7 years and change that it's returned to Lombard emerged.
Yeah, we're seeing a total new swing in the direction where this is a younger man's sport, where you're seeing a lot of these teen lifters shine, and we saw that earlier in a lot of these flights where, we're seeing a new generation of lifters rise up.
Garrett Lockwood did miss, and I'm going to be willing to say probably on strength, with a 195. That was the heaviest bench attempted all day by anybody across all of our sessions, and it was just a bit too much. He still has a subtotal beyond 1,000 pounds. I think he'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, going into deadlifts, he's definitely in the lead for all of these guys, and we'll see how that ends up as we start pulling, but he's going to be a threat to that first-place podium.
Platform 3 will get pulled off of your screen in a moment, as they've got 10 minutes now of changeover time. All your spotters and loaders hopefully have like multiple Gatorades and food. Hello, right?
Yeah.
But
got to keep these guys fueled up.
Yeah, you fuel for this absolute machine, right? Because you continue to see just an astounding average change time to flop it over to the next attempt at all times. Live look-ins on your left of screen of all of the wrapped weight classes, these many, many champions that we've crowned, and what the podium looked like across those weight classes. Jesse Rodriguez, 165. It's about to get comical, too. Again, we've already had the heaviest bench for the day and one of the heaviest benches of the entire week from Garrett Lockwood there at 195, but not quite coming up.
Still hit 190 on his second, and I believe that's the heaviest we've seen so far today.
Yeah.
This kid is a killer bencher.
Liam Nelson, not Liam Neeson, out of the men's Raw 110s. I, made that mistake the first time through it, and then it's like, oh, well, now you got to lean into it and be like, oh, is he, something, I will find you. How's the line go from Taken? I don't know. Nonetheless, Dylan Kabiko, a 170. He's at the bottom of the flight for a reason. This is a plus 7.5. For some, intimidating. For others, peanuts. He's got one blue, okay, from the middle.
Probably a soft elbow there. I didn't see any up and down, but the blue could be soft elbows or an up and down movement there. And with the back, chief referee looking directly at the elbows. It's probably your most common call for something like that.
Charles Montgomery, retake on his third bench. His third squat gave us probably our scariest looking optics of the day, as he never let go of the bar but was way underneath it, not in a good way. Again, I'm telling you, quick press, he nailed it too. 127.5 rather. Figured that would pass with flying colors, right?
Yeah, he got it on the board there.
Luis Alvarez, 135. This is a minimum jump. So few male competitors have been willing to put those in. That is the only minimum jump in this entire flight. Now, you have had one retake with Charles, but even so, that might show maturity.
Yeah, smart move. If it doesn't move the way you want it to, you just got to build that total. And you see, maybe he might not have had another 2.5 kilos in him.
Yeah. I do think, that's an awful, it's an awfully, evident display of the self-pleasing. I think he made the right call, and, yeah, that 2.5 might have been too much. Andrew Wersick, 142.5.
Come on, Andrew.
Andrew's comp PR here. It's going to be a fight, and then drifting back toward the head just a tad too far. On the note of bar path, man, those who flare back towards the head, on average, you've seen those real, there's apps that track your bar path, right? And the aggressive J curve, where the first movement of the bar off your chest is back toward the head. There's a lot to be said about elite benchers doing that, right?
Yeah, so you do want to see that bit of a J curve. It's the best mechanically advantageous way to push. But the risk that you run is if you push too far back towards your head early, that's going to fall out of the range for your shoulders. It's going to fall straight back to your face. That's why we have those face savers there for you.
David Krupka, 2 5s, and puts him in exactly the right window to nail that 145. He's a gentleman just stacking, just on every attempt within that right couple of kilo range. 230 bench now, or 230 squat rather, now a 145 bench, all up on the board. Shane Melcher, 147.5, jumps 5, press quick, rack the same, lights please. The worst couple of seconds in the world, and now thank you very much. They feel more miserable at 10:46 than, again, they did at 10:47 a.m. this morning, right?
That's right.
It drags on even, and I got to get my watch out and be like, hey, are these actually taking longer? No, it's all in our heads. It certainly feels that way. Platform 3 has about 4.5 minutes until we get to our deadlift openers, and it'll reappear on your screen at that point. Denzel Johnson, another 7.5, is right there.
I don't know. I feel like I saw a little bit of a hip shift, maybe a butt pop off the bench. And now it looks like he's going to get the 3 white lights. Looks like I'm going to have to take the egg off my face there.
Uh-huh. And eat it all, yes.
That's right.
But again, those lifters, many of the times, they get to see those lights before we do. That's, sometimes just the literal electronic input delay because referees got often a tablet that they use to insert their vote, right? And then that will take a moment to electronically populate to us, again, following along on LiftingCast, and go to 2026 USA Powerlifting Youth and Raw Nationals and search for your platform of choice. Leandro Munoz, 160.
And just a tad too much on the day. Taking a 2.5 kilo jump. Doesn't really lose anything on the day. Smart jumps there.
3 consecutive attempts here at 160 kilos. Joseph is going to have the last of those. Those women's raw 48 kgs. You ever met Delaney Sousley?
Oh, of course.
Dude, I've never met anybody that doesn't know the stories of Delaney Sousley. You want to talk about a lineal champion? Every age division that's ever existed out of the 48s, every record all time, claimed them all, and in Infinity Stone style, wields all the stones.
Yeah, collecting everything that she can.
Uh-huh. And then our next thought is, okay, so the next class, 52, when's she going to do that and come through and do all the same things,
Yeah.
Probably not too long,
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, she's been at it for so long and
it's
been
true.
so successful, and just a joy to have around the sport. Always in a positive mood, has the positive attitude towards training and competing.
And Mr. Lee, show me 160. Thank you, please. There's a lot of slant rhymes, but yeah, I hope you'll allow them by now. It's late. Can we just look past?
I'm here for it.
All right then, works for me. Your women's 44s were the lightest of the women's open age division weight classes. That 44 being the bottoms. And then you get into youth classes, which will go lower than that. Augustine, a 165. Nearly 364 pounds. So if you could add a pound a day starting from 0, surely you could get here in about a year. I'm pretty sure that's how the math goes. Augustine. Well, he'll come up then a week and a half short, I guess? I don't know. Stay with me now.
I'm with you.
All right, then. Zion Stevens, 165. The same attempt here again, and our lot number rears its ugly head. And hilariously, these were consecutive lot numbers for them. 80-19, 80-20. Just completely random chance.
They're right there on each other's tail, so they were definitely behind each other in weigh-ins when it came to that.
And sizing each other up from the moment they came in, of course.
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
That's how it always goes. As soon as you're in line for weigh-ins, you're looking, who's that guy? Is that the guy that I saw on the leaderboards? Oh, who's this guy? Let me listen to what his openers are going to be.
Yup. Zion Stevens, one more third bench, proving tricky. And the 3 reds. 2 more benches here for the day. 2 more benches for Friday. 2026 USA Powerlifting Youth and Raw Nationals, presented by A7, live from the Westin Lombard, 10:51 p.m. Central Time. If you're on Eastern, you're a psycho, you're a sicko, but the good news is tomorrow's the weekend.
Yeah, and just another day, too, for us tomorrow.
Another day, another dollar. Jesse Rodriguez 170. And he had more on that, I'm telling you.
He might have had another chip on there.
Yeah. His second made me think that there was even a bigger jump coming maybe, but then he's still got plenty of room. His deadlift opener is 230 kilos. His projected total, which always is given now as the subtotal plus just your deadlift opener, which means he usually got a lot more than that. His projected total, 637.5. Dylan Kavico, bend down at the bottom of the flight and knows he's going to stay there. Platform 3 returns. Rachel Hannon will open on our left with 150 in just a moment.
Hey, our first platform to start deadlifting. As soon as the other ones are ready, they're going to turn the music up in here, and the energy is going to get going.
Dylan, polish off our flight, please, and thank you. Success looks just like that. It looks just like those pretty white lights, and then a guttural scream.
You got a blue from the back, probably something related to a soft elbow. I think I did see that on his right side, but nonetheless gets the 2 white lights and gets the lift on the board.
So 2 questions for you, Lance.
Yes.
You think I care?
No.
Do you think he cares?
No.
Not a chance. Our deadlift openers on your left of screen for platform 3, flight G. That means, again, folks, each of these platforms will have seen 8 total flights today across 3 sections. Madison Schultz rolls up on a 155 deadlift opener. And I will immediately ask you, tell me what your deadlift ritual is, your setup, your thing that you've got to do every time you approach the bar.
So for me, as a sumo puller, I find out where I'm going to put my feet first. And usually I line my shins up with the rings just because it's a specific point that I can find for myself. Typically, you want your feet wide enough to where your knees are directly above your ankles. This way you have that direct force going straight down, and that allows you to put the most force into the ground. From the feet, then I start to sink my hips down and then wedge into my belt there and create my brace. That's when I find out where my hips are set and make sure they're in the right spot. Grip the bar, I go double overhand hook grip. You'll see a little bit of double overhand hook grip, a little bit of mixed grip. It's really dependent on the lifter. And then there I sink my hips and wedge to the bar. So you'll see her set up her feet here. She's probably doing the same process. Gets her hips set and then sets the hands. And you're going to see her sink her hips into the bar and wedge straight to it. So 2 different stances you'll see today. Sumo and conventional. Sumo with the hands inside of the legs. Conventional with the feet closer together, usually shoulder width apart, and the hands outside of the legs.
And you're speaking to another sumo puller. That means we speak the same language, you know what I mean?
That's right.
And we can talk about some of the true intricacies of the technique. I always like to go, the 101s, the basics first. So I've always been doing this, right, in the gym. It's the chalk on the legs, the baby powder on the hands, right? Hey, I tell you,
you threw me off there.
Right, well,
you
should learn to expect it now.
Baby powder on the legs, chalk on the hands. So what baby powder is, it's basically like a dry lubricant, where you put that on your quads to allow the bar to slide up a little bit. On your hands, you want chalk because that dries the hands out and it creates a little bit of friction between the bar and the hands. This way it doesn't slip out. You confuse those two, and now all of a sudden the bar is slipping out of your hands. They always say, like, you want to act like that baby powder on your legs is a biohazard. Keep your hands away from it as far as possible because you do not want to get that on your hands.
You have somebody put it on for you on meet day?
For sure.
Yep.
For sure.
Ayla Smith.
Usually what I do with my athletes is I'll put it on for them, and then I'll use the bottle to rub it in. This way you're not using your hands, so you don't get it on your hands. There's no contact then.
Yeah. It will feature with both conventional and sumo pullers for what that's worth, right?
Yeah, but you do want to apply it differently for each lifter. If they're a sumo puller, you're going to notice, like you can almost, yeah, you could tell just by the way she had the baby powder that she was going to be a sumo puller here because you see it more towards the inside of the quads because that's where her arms are going to rely. Usually with the sumo pullers, it's more about allowing the arms to slide up. With the conventional pullers, it's more about letting the bar slide up. You see that her forearms are rubbing against her quads there. And you can even see the marks that it leaves when she rubs it off of her quads. And you'll notice the conventional pullers, it's more towards the front surface of the quad to allow the bar to slide up.
I personally have my own little raspberries on both of the insides of my legs right now. And you mentioned hook grip. Let's introduce our two different, styles, but also theories of thought on grip. One being the mixed, one being the hook. You said you pull hook. Tell me about it.
Well, let's start out with the mix because that's actually the more traditional way to go, and that's what she's doing here. So what the mixed grip does is it avoids the rolling of the bar because since you have to flip one over, it kind of offsets that. So the bar's never going to roll in your hands, and it's going to be a little bit more tight. That's just straight grip strength there. When you go double overhand hook grip, what you're doing is you're wrapping the bottom of your thumb under the bar, and you take either your middle finger or your pointer finger and wrap that on top of your thumb, so it creates that hook there. What the hook grip allows you to do, it gives you almost like an extra 1.5 inches of range of motion, so you can set your shoulders a little bit higher. It's also more reliable when it is set right. The problem with hook grip is it's very dependent on your setup. So if you mess up that setup, a lot of times it'll roll out of your hands. And you might see that happen a little bit. So here we see a double overhand hook grip. You're going to see her twist the thumbs into the bar, pointer fingers over the thumbs, and nice conventional pull.
Yeah, so it can obviously be utilized with either stance, and we will see likely all those combinations of stance plus grip, and you've got to pick what's strongest for you. I was trying to, with Sam Martin in our afternoon session today, was trying to really get to the heart of, okay, a grip may be more, it may be more secure for you or not, and it's kind of the only way to know is by pulling while you're on that platform even. Sometimes you kind of have to pull it out. Of course, I think you want heavy touches in training too, but have you felt to probably use both pretty heavily, have you felt for certain that hook grip is more secure for you? Was that your choosing?
Hook grip was tough to learn at first because it is such a skill.
Of course.
And it took a long time to get used to, not only just the skill behind it, but the pain behind it, really. You have to build up that callus on your thumb because it is very painful at first. You really have to get used to it. I felt like hook grip just allowed me to get into a better position at the start because of that extra 1.5 inches of range of motion that you're taking off from the lift. It seems so small, but it is a big difference.
I tell you, what they're not going to see off camera is I'm going to hold my hand up, and I'm going to tell you that even with a hand the size of mine, I have begun to teach myself the hook grip as somebody who is convinced that I will be able to do it, as somebody who was not going to allow the size of my hand to kind of push me into like a defeatist mindset of, oh, well, I can't do it. My hand just isn't built to do it.
Right, and what he's referring to here is the fact that he has a little bit smaller hands.
I know.
It makes it a lot easier to hook grip if you have bigger hands because it allows you to hook a little bit further underneath the bar. It's why when you see people in the gym that typically pull with a deadlift bar over a power bar, it's easier for them to do a hook grip because a deadlift bar is a little bit thinner. But here in USA Powerlifting, the only thing that we use is a power bar.
And it does always blow me away, a millimeters difference on the barbell in diameter actually makes that big of a difference.
And you can physically see it on the bar how much of a difference it is.
Brianna Jacobs dusts a 175.
And we're talking millimeters there. So when we talk about inches of range of motion, you gotta think of how much of a difference that is as well.
Emily Matt on a 180. Man, I want a singlet with my name on it. Look at that in the middle. And a like bedazzled, gold belt. That's drip. With A7 kit. Starter pack. Emily, we presume she's got the 3 whites, and there they are on your screen. Jalea Pave. Let's glance at Platform 4's timer. On their changeover, they've got about 2 minutes left, and then Aubrey Richards will be up for her opener with 105 kilos on the right-hand side of your screen when Platform 4 returns.
Oh, yeah.
Man, Jalea's got that calm, cool, and collected pull. Do you like to emphasize the lean back at the top?
It's tricky.
Yes.
It's really dependent on the lifter because if you lean back too far, that will definitely unlock your knees. You never want to over lean back because anytime you get the unlocking the knees, that'll be a blue card.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a compensation thing. When you lean back one way, you got to move somewhere.
In order to maintain your center of balance, I think that's really, an underrated somehow theme of the deadlift itself, because every time you see somebody lose balance, it's just going to be a little bit typically dramatic. If you fall forward or you fall backward.
Right, and that's more evident on a sumo deadlift. The sumo deadlift, while shortening the range of motion makes it easier in that sense, it is much more difficult in the technique sense because the smallest differences will throw you off so much. You have to be balanced and stable within your movements. Conventional, it's a little bit more forgiving in that aspect.
Ashlyn Dormany's 187.5. Ooh. Didn't quite make it to the knee. Platform 4 does make a triumphant return.
So typically when you see something like that, you're not really inclined to scratch a third deadlift because it is the last lift of the meet. Unless you are worried about something injury-wise, you usually just go for broke and load it up, and if you don't hit it, you don't hit it. So I would fully expect Ashlyn to be back.
Third dead's coming at you. Rachel Hannon first. Unloads 160. She's more than got it. Elated as she comes off. And her total rounding out at 415 kilos. Remember, folks, the total just referring to, well, you could say the subtotal plus your best deadlift. But because we introduced subtotal in that way, we'll just remind you it is the sum of your best lift of each discipline all added together.
So one thing you'll notice about deadlifts, I think this is where our loaders actually shine because they don't have to change a rack height.
Yeah.
So you will see how quickly they get in and out of there now that their job is essentially cut in half. They're already preparing, so you watch how quickly these guys are going to get that lift right back.
Paige Skrill will maybe a little sheepish let that go, but was fighting for a big, let's see, that would have been a healthy PR, I think, of 7.5. Nonetheless, Kayla Rittenhouse, 172.5. Kaylin has a slow and steady pull herself, and towards the top, it wants to catch on the legs.
Oh, my goodness.
Did she come all the way to lockout? Did she really?
Just going to fall short.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised she didn't get lightheaded after that one, after having to hold that for so long.
Yeah.
What a pull, though. What an effort.
Madison Schultz. That makes a tough act to follow, frankly. Madison Schultz, 175 for her third. Oh, let your hair down and let loose? All right. Ready to empty the tank then, are you? You better be.
175, getting that third red on there.
3 red round things. Up, up, up.
Oh!
And lost the handle at the top.
You just saw it starting to slip right at the end.
That grip, they say, is one of those things that when you're systemically sapped, goes a little bit quicker, right?
Yeah, grip fatigue is a real thing. You feel it right in those forearms, and it's just over from there. There's almost no coming back from once that grip starts to slip. There's not any real torquing you can do with the body to help that.
Speaking of torque, Mackenzie Wank must have upgraded the engine. She's pulling a 10 PR for her lifetime deadlift. I'm telling you, showing out on big stages. Pulled for PR in Michigan State Championships primetime, where she took second. Pulls for PR here at Nats.
10 kilos is no joke of a PR once you get to this level. These guys have done plenty of meets over the years, and those diminishing returns start to set in. 10 kilos on your deadlift is very serious.
And you stack a couple of 10s in a row, you start to look like a whole different lifter. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Ciara budged that 180, not by much. And she will have to sit on a 410 kg total. Remember, out of this Flight G that we're seeing on our left on Platform 3, this is all 65 kilo open competitors. On your left, we also have plenty of 65 opens, but also some 65 teens and then 75 male teens as well. That's one of the more mixed flights of ages and age divisions. Brianna Jacobs to unload her clip 2 and go beyond a 400 pull to punctuate a fantastic day and might take a little nap up at the top.
You see that happen pretty often.
Out. Could have been worse. Ashlyn Dormany, 187.5. Wanted to stall at her knees last time. I think she's made the corrections. Did you see anything, Lance?
I thought I saw some ramping, maybe some up and down, and we do get the one call from the center, but it is a good lift nonetheless. Great job, and what a great way to end the day.
Lots of pulls, well beyond 400 now. Ayla Smith is one of those. She's got a 187.5, and she hit the earthquake test. She has expended it all, 430 kg total for her. Currently sitting in third among all of your open 65s. Brianna Jacobs, 447.5. That's not nearly secured because of all of our 65s who have yet to pull. Jalea Pave, 187.5 for her. It's a 7.5 jump, would run her total to 415. Emily Gamber opening 165. Jalea lean back and show me whites, please. All 6, there you go. YouTube thumbnail, snapshot right there. Last deadlifts of Flight G, and then we'll move on to the bottom flight of the day. We can smell it from here. Emily Matt on your left of screen, sauntering and now screwing into this 190. Emily's lifetime best here. It should be a +5 by my eyes. +5 to the lifetime PR. And at Nats, there's never a better time. Leo Almquist on your right, 177.5. Remember, these are the last couple of lifters in Flight G on Platform 4. These are teen ones, 14 and 15 years of age. Leo, Cowan, Red, all in that order. Whoa, Anthony's got something that jumped up and bit him toward the top.
No lift on 4.
And
Tyler.
Cohen probably a similar thing. He's looking around and
Tyler on 3.
maybe something going on where there's something on the bar. I don't know. He's looking around like there's something unexpected that he walked up to.
Tyler Weingartner on 215. Same thing. Lot of these sumo pullers just screwing both feet in, and you set that toe angle at whatever it may be for you, however externally rotated you might get. They screw that feet in to get there. Tyler will look to set his hook grip very close. His hands could practically touch. Do you grip on the smooth?
I do not. Really tough skill to get used to. And with the knurling, you want to take it. Sorry, my mic was cutting out there.
Oh no, the panic comes for uh-oh.
When you grip it on the smooth, you don't get the advantage of the knurling that is going to dig into your hands.
Yes. You will see some regardless because it can in some way factor into range of motion. That I think is for certain. It's just a calculated risk, right?
Yeah, and the closer you go to it, sometimes the more internally rotated your shoulders get, and you might start getting those red cards from the side.
That is for lockout purposes.
Yes.
Yeah. Isabella Idades on a 125. And just did not budge that by much. Takes the belt off and a little exasperated. Jaden Poladian, now he's got a real quiet setup.
Oh.
Not gonna get the down command in time, right?
Those are the sumo wobbles that we spoke about before. Sometimes you just get to the top and you're not stable. It's a really tough part of the sumo pool where the stability starts to lack if you're not in the exact position that you need to be in.
Yeah. Doesn't take much deviation either. Rome Randall, 222.5. And he could have jumped with the thing in his hands, and I'm telling you, gotten some legit airtime.
Yeah, it's exactly how you want the opener to look, nice and easy, and then we build from there.
Barbell getting wiped down here on our left. What's that about?
Well, we have lifters using the baby powder and the chalk, and like we spoke about earlier, you don't want to mix those two up. So we're going to brush the bar and wipe it down this way. With the two different types of lifts that we have with the sumo and conventional, sometimes the baby powder gets on the bar, and where someone was gripping before, there's baby powder, and we don't want it to slip out of their hands.
Angel and Lexi ought to look up and find nothing but white up on that board next to their names. They will. That was a 12.5 jump for Lexi Sanders. But yeah, if there's a time to jump 12.5, then your last couple deadlifts, probably the time, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where you can make up the most kilos on your total. Typically, it's the heaviest lift you'll have of the day. You're not frying yourself for any more lifts since it is the last lift of the day. Marvin's lift is flying there.
Oh, yeah. He's going to put in one of the bigger jumps that we've seen, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He sits first for what it's worth among our 75s who have pulled so far. Jason Zong, 255 to open. There's a bunch of animals once you get down here at the bottom. Bunch of animals once you get out here to Nats in the first place. And then you put the cream of the crop all together, and you get just alien things like that. Things I struggle to understand, even having been around this sport a while and been to a lot of meets, man.
We're seeing the 600-pound mark being crossed here.
Openers, too.
Openers, and we still got 6 lifters to go.
Alfonso Montalvo has just positively cooked today. All-time best dead, 292.5. What's his second got to be if he wants to be in that range?
I mean, he could honestly take another 17.5 kilos here and be right in range there. There's no reason to believe that he doesn't have 292 today with how that opener moved.
And if the second is half decent, I'd say he's going to take that 295. I'd say he would really struggle mentally to not load a comp PR.
For sure.
Those are going to be the dialogues had over at the table pretty soon when he comes back up. Matthew Sacco, 275. Only missing, quote unquote, 5 kilos off of his total for a couple of missed benches. Man, he hangs out there before getting his breath, then hits it, and the moment the bar is in the fingertips, he'll pull. Whether he's saying prayers, whether he's gathering air, whether he's feeling the arms long, whether he's visualizing, it clearly worked. That setup of really top down and then kind of that long pause before he sets his hands down on the bar.
Yeah, and powerlifters are creatures of habit, and you'll see that here where every setup is so elaborate, but it is the same every time for them for each first, second, and third attempt.
Alex Lejeune will be one of your heaviest mixed grip pullers. He tosses a 606 for a deadlift opener. Remember, Alex is your one teen that snuck his way all the way down to the bottom of the flight here with a ridiculous deadlift.
Yeah, good company to be in.
And look like you belong there as a teenager too, I'm telling you. Garrett Lockwood opens on 280. Emily Gamber, 172.5. That's a 7.5 jump with a little hop, skip, and a jump off of the platform. Garrett letting the arms hang as long as could be. And all right, his right knee was the tricky one, right? I still thought it locked.
Yeah, still gets the 3 white lights.
There's got to be something to just the size of your legs relative to the rest of your body and how it's going to catch your hand at some point, no matter how you baby powder it up, right?
Yeah, and it's always those catch-22s where, you know, you spend so much time weightlifting, you get these big quads, but then they start getting in the way a bit with the deadlift. You want to keep the deadlift tight to the body, but when you have, you know, a lot of quad meat growing there,
yeah, man,
it's in the way.
Even from 75s, as if we haven't had that proven. Noah Foreman opens 290, and he's not all the way at the bottom. There's one more you don't want to miss. One more that if you walked away, if you've gone to the bathroom, if you got up, fill your water bottle, you're looking for a late night snack, your fourth meal from Taco Bell is on the doorstep, you might want to just save all of that and wait a few moments because Eric Lapointe wants to pull a 650 first, and we don't really want to interrupt.
Eric dropping from his original opener of 305. I wonder if there's something that went wrong in the warm-up room, or maybe there's something in the placings that he feels more comfortable dropping to 295.
That is a real fascinating point. He gives that first tug. That's about setting his grip, right? Another one, and now he's thinking about it maybe. He will still lock it, but do you expect that he is in his head?
I don't know if that's a part of his usual setup or not. Could be. We do know that he dropped his opener, so maybe there's something going on.
Yeah.
It's going to take some work for him to get to the third place. Third place right now, projected 727.5. He's at 702.5.
Yeah, there's still a lot to go and a lot that could happen to him in the interim before we get there.
Right.
top of the flight G over on the right-hand side of your screen on platform 4, Audrey Richards, a third pull. She's already sitting out front of your Teen 165s, and she is the only Teen 165 featured in this flight specifically. And Audrey will show us likely 3 more whites with the plus 10 to 87.5, where her final total resides. Tyler Weingartner, and budged it, but again, not by much. They'll make sure to wipe off all of the glue on the barbell as well from, when it gets glued down and you just don't quite know how that happens with particularly tricky attempts. Isabel Idades, a retake 125. And don't call it a comeback, man. Jaden on our left missed the opener. Tough spot to be to jump 10.
Yeah, he got a little bit of the wobbles at the top last time. Let's see if he can correct that here. Ooh.
And now shaky again. And it's the worst spot you want to be because you've already done 8 attempts that might have you fried, and you got to figure something out on your third.
Yeah, he's already going up. He cannot go back down. And that's where that comes in tricky. I did say, though, there's one reason I would go up is if you get the sumo wobbles, because sometimes that can be because it's too light and you snap your hips through. But
can be.
He never got his hips through in those first 2, so that one I would disagree with moving up there.
Now Sean Simon, 235 is just cashed in. Hilariously, my very first attempt ever in comp, the exact thing. I hadn't heard it phrased that way before, but I see exactly what you mean now. And of course, I felt it at other times in the gym. We all have, right? If you pulled sumo for more than like a few minutes. And I lost my very first one, and I thought, oh, I just missed the down command. And I go back and watch it. I said, no, I was completely off balance, almost fell all the way backwards.
Yep.
Didn't even notice it because I'm too jacked up, man.
A lot of times your hips get through and they go a little bit too fast, a little bit unexpected if that taper worked a little bit too well.
Yeah.
And you snap right back down.
And I opened somewhere in that 90% range with my deadlift. That's what I like to do. I know that it will fly off the ground, but I didn't know quite how hard. And then, like, the very first attempt ever deadlift on the platform for you, it leaves you a little shell shock.
Yep.
But you come out and hit the second one, and then it is all forgiven because you've posted a number and your total. Then at that point, you got a little bit more to play with sometimes for your third. But Rome Randall, 245. That is a gigantic jump. Is he chasing a specific number?
Could be, or he's chasing placing.
Well, retake is, I presume, already in over at the table for him.
Yeah.
That same thing, 245 again, please, and thank you. Rome sitting 6th among your Teen 375s. That's current placing, but always that chance, if that wants to come up, that he could make a big leap with that third pull successful. Marvin obliterated 245. This is 265 eviscerated.
Yeah, very easy after making a 20-kilo jump.
Absolutely. Michelle will screw herself into that bar one more time. 170 kg on the bar for her to go beyond a 400 total. She will give a number of those little test yanks too. And then when it comes down to the full pull, not quite to the knee before she's got to dump it.
Yeah, I saw some oscillation there.
Jason Zong's EZPZ 275. Again, that means that we're beyond 600 for the rest of the attempts in the flight. And when we turn it back up to the top, we'll be at 210. We're still, almost back to knocking on that door of 500 pounds again.
And a good fight from Ella, but may have dropped the bar a little too early.
What did you say about national stage and the standards?
And she looks like she got it up and down, so maybe I was wrong about that.
Okay.
But she did get it 2-1.
But those are, like you say, just 2 where she can go and appeal, right?
Yes, she can go to the jury and protest that if she needs to.
Matthew Sacco loading another 10 here. 285. Again, he hangs out and just collects himself no matter what he's doing. As he sets his hands down, all thoughts leave and all force goes straight on up. Matthew Sacco's 285, a fairly easy second. It's easy to say from over here, I didn't have to lift it. Marie Leonard. Because the comments and the captions write themselves. I mean, come on. People could say, oh, you behind the screen, Mr. blah, blah, blah. Easy for you to say.
Garrett Lockwood currently in second with a forecasted total of 742.5 if he hits this. Looking to chip away, hopefully pull for first. We've seen him try to do that before at the Arnold's, and this one is just too much, and that might drop him back a little bit as we have Alfonso right after him, and this would move Alfonso to 727.5.
Yeah, that gap narrows and podiums become more in question.
Right, this will just put him 7.5 kilos behind.
Or even if he should have held on to that, finished it, not really.
It's gonna be close for sure. I don't believe he's gonna have any more in him.
Alfonso likely does, after a 15 jump, tack it all on.
This is going to be trouble for Garrett going down the stretch because Garrett's only got a 7.5 kilo lead on him now.
Yeah, that's in no way safe, right?
So no way safe. And I just don't see 287.5 going for Garrett here.
Emily Gamber, 177.5 for her. Her tank's going to be empty, but her heart is going to be full. Her total is going to be 420 keys. Emily Gamber coming off Alex Lejeune on his 293 Reds. Not without precedent a 15 comeback. That is, if he's able to hit the third, but unlikely. Taylor Herring, remember, after the bomb on squats, could have packed it up, called it quits, stays in, and might have polished a 400-plus dead to finish. The worst weight in the world, and she did not. It's 1 yellow and 2 blues.
Noah Foreman on the left side of your screen on platform 3, currently in first place.
But then his 300 didn't budge. His 290 I liked on an opener.
And that's going to hurt his chances here. He currently sits in first. But Garrett Lockwood and Alfonso right behind him. If Garrett can hit, that'll move him to first.
And Alfonso has another one of those podium pulls too, where
Alfonso has to move up because he's at 302.5. That's only going to tie him with Garrett Lockwood.
Yeah, he can go to the table and change it, right?
He can. You can change your third attempt deadlift. That's the only thing that you can change out of anything.
Leo Almquist, will his day end in a success? Yes, indeed. And Eric Lapointe, he's going to let that 310 go. We knew he didn't look quite right on the 295. Oh, excuse me. He pump faked me.
And
was that misloaded too?
Something was wrong with how it was. Something was wrong with how it was loaded.
Yeah. Now he hops back out, and after one exploratory tug, will pull all the way up for the 310. Cowan Freeman If he locked that, I will say, how?
Yeah, I wonder what was going on there. There was something off about that entire time.
Two really eventful pulls kind of happened simultaneously, but yeah.
As it stands right now, Noah Foreman in first. Garrett Lockwood in second. Alfonso in third.
But still lots of time for that to change. Anthony Kopetka yanks up the 210, and that's one of the most celebrationless third pulls that we've seen. Do you have a celly planned out when you hit something big?
Nah, you just got to let it flow.
I know. Because it's so raw, because it's one of the most raw moments usually that you'll dip into emotionally of your life, it can be. To just see whatever comes out of you is going to be what comes out. Tyler Weingartner will take one more real deliberate setup. Missed shortly off the floor on grip 2 on his 222.5. Great adjustment made. I think he just polished it all off. Tyler will have that third pull bagged at 222.5. Dylan Kabiko actually got 2 reds for lockout. He will need to likely retake his opener then.
And Jaden needs this to stay in the meet on platform 3.
He does. The one and only competitor out of the session to be in this incredibly unenvious spot. Survive and advance for Jaden Poladian. His right hand wanted to open up, man.
He's got to be careful about slamming that bar. That's going to get you some yellows. And he gets away with it there, but you got to be careful. When you're in a situation like that,
yeah,
you don't want to give the referees any reason to give you a red light there.
David Krupka on the 230. David taking advantage of one of the best rules USA Powerlifting has to offer, and I'm sure that you do too, just looking at you, Lance. The no undershirt required under the singlet.
I actually do not do that because I feel like with the way the delts are set up, if you're close with your shoulders, it makes it seem like your shoulders are rounding more. And I notice when I keep the shirt on, I get less shoulder pulls.
Interesting. Tactical.
Yeah.
Very nice. Jesse Rodriguez. Some gentlemen genuinely intimidate by coming just by coming out there for the very first deadlift without the shirt on. You get a look at the lifetime of strength that appears on their frame and that they can't even hide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jesse Rodriguez on 230. He will again take advantage of this USA Powerlifting rule. No undershirt for many of our alphas. Shane's good on the 240 to open. Angel on our left on a 250. And he'll have to dump it there beyond his knees. You always talk about start position and getting the hips close to the bar. I think Angel had some of the best optics of that, right? Like could almost, spread his stance a little bit closer and actually touch the bar like with his thighs before it breaks the floor kind of deal.
Yeah, very tight to the body.
Rome Randall. Am I seeing this right? This is a plus 30 from his opener after missing a 22.5 jump here. I guess when you've said your Hail Marys, you had that faith take over, but the body didn't want to respond.
Come on, Danielle. Come on, Danielle. Let's do it, Danielle. Let's do it, Danielle.
Zion Stevens Platform 4's finest. Ooh, had the clear up and downs, I thought, and then he's not able to lock out too.
And Marvin here taking a 20-kilo jump once again.
Sitting 7th here among our 75s. Can move up into 6th. Believe it or not, you would think maybe it'd be a little bit more of a shakeup, but it matters. It matters for pride. It matters for the lifetime memories made at Nats. 285 is still dusted. Marvin, 692.5 is where his total will sit. Or pardon us, did I see Marvin's did not pass?
Did not pass.
Man, okay, 2 blues left and center. I think he is certainly on his way right to the jury, right?
For sure. Garrett Lockwood here needs this to stay in second, and he missed the second it was a pretty tough attempt.
And dropped it, too. That grip fatigue when you're just systemically zonked. It's been this same kind of deal. It hits that knee, and then he's violently quaking. He ripped it off. He's got to see the lights, too, because he's not sure. And they're all not in his favor.
So that keeps him in second. He's forecasted in third because we have Eric Lapointe, who is currently forecasted in second. He has 330 loaded. Don't know if that's a fake attempt or not.
To psych people out, right, playing that mental game?
Correct.
There's always the chance of it, and this only really factors in for deadlifts. Jason Zong stepping up to 287.5. This would top off a 705 total for him. He is nearly limitless on the pure power off the floor, but he'll lose the grip too. Whether it's the hydration, whether it's the heat catching up, the longest of days, the sleep getting funky, the systems are tremendously taxed.
So with everything settled so far, Noah Foreman sits in first ahead of Garrett Lockwood.
And Alex is going to be a little dejected on his 290 pull. He shot for the absolute stars. And here's the thing, you still kind of end up in the stratosphere if you quote-unquote miss by a little bit. He still pulled over 600 for an opener. And in his teen years, got a ton of time to grow. And in the 75 class, you know, speaking bodyweight-wise, has a ton of room to grow too. Matthew Sacco wants a 295. Leandro Munoz is going to open on 275. So don't sleep if he starts making some noise too out of 75s. We won't know all of those final placings until everyone has wrapped up across all of our platforms that are still rocking here as we near midnight in Central Time. Matthew Sacco finding that place. He's going to wherever he's got to go. It doesn't matter because he's there now and will rip this off of the floor. And 650 with the fight of his life will take him down one single peg. Still 285 kilos and a 675 total. Matthew Sacco, one of our warriors. Dylan missed his first deadlift on lockout.
Alfonso should move this up 2.5 kilos, or he should have.
Is he sticking with it?
He is sticking with it. So if he moved up an extra 2.5, that would have jumped Garrett Lockwood.
Yeah.
This ties him with Garrett, but Garrett has the body weight advantage.
This is a lifetime deadlift PR for Alonzo. We had no doubt until the grip on the left hand so deftly ripped away.
So this is Noah Foreman, your currently placed in first.
And out of our other 75s, we just want to glance down and see if anyone has any chance of pulling to catch up to him. Your answer is no, I think. I think you'd be talking 60-plus kilos that anybody else
and this is big
on the other platform.
Eric
Yeah.
Lapointe comes right after him, and now that keeps his total at 737.5. Eric Lapointe would need to move up another 7.5 kilos to 330 if he really wants to beat him, or 332.5 because he needs to go 740.
But his time to change that deadlift has now expired as well, right?
It has now expired because the bar is officially loaded.
Right.
So Noah Foreman is your champion, 75 kilo.
And he may know it, but probably very few others do yet. They're still shaking off the shell shock. Their ears are still ringing. Eric Lapointe, though, wants to go out swinging. 322.5 keys, 730 total, and he'll pull onto the platform, onto the podium for a third place spot. For now, at least. He's re-chalking one more time. His attempt timer continues to run. He's got 18 seconds or so to begin the pull.
It's an interesting strategy. He did that on his second as well.
Yeah, took a lot of those exploratory little pulls first, pulling the slack out of his hand. Now it's got to happen quick in the last couple of seconds for the shot clock cheese. Eric Lapointe not there for the final and heaviest pull.
I wonder what's going on with that chalk method there. 'Cause
Right.
That's not something that you typically see.
And I've never seen it, but I've not been on this stage as long or at as high a level as you have.
I've never seen that before where, I mean, maybe if you unintentionally forget to put on chalk and you run back there, but I've never seen someone do that twice in a row where they have somebody waiting after they check the bar.
And hand it over to
Yeah.
you while you are hearing your timer even run down and people are saying, hey, you know, time's a little short. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, that is strange.
Yeah.
I know Eric's been in the game for a while, so that's probably something that he's either tried before or tried in training. You know, this isn't something that he would just do to be quirky or whatever. It's something I've never seen before.
Yeah, curious. And he does come up empty with still the heaviest deadlift by leaps and bounds of the day attempted. Zion Stevens had a bunch going on, had cards from everywhere on his first. He makes just about all of the corrections, dials in for his second, and he's posted a number. That is a huge sigh of relief he can take. A lot of red out of Flight H for those third deadlift attempts. You had 4 of them made, and you had, 10 of them missed?
Yeah, that's not something you want to see. And, you know, a lot of times that happens with deadlifts when you're jockeying for position.
Andrew Wersick, he will dust a 600 plus and saunter off. We got 5 more pulls out of these second attempts. Again, you might see the flight order change. You've mentioned it, although it's been quite a while. I think that was back with maybe bench, maybe it was even squat out of this session, where because you proceed through in order of the lightest to heaviest, that doesn't mean that the same lifter is going to be, for example, if you pulled first to begin the flight with your first attempt, that doesn't mean that your third attempt is also going to be first.
Right, yeah. If from 1 to 2 you make a smaller jump than somebody who's before you or after you, that could change the order as well. So you might start following somebody different, and every now and then we'll see the lifters jump up and down.
and you could have some of those mind games and some of the attempt changes that probably factored in more to our earlier flight, likely by a little on the other platform, but still some jockeying here, and then there's always PRs in the back of one's mind too, right? Your competition PR, what better place to hit it than here?
Right.
Augustine's 282.5. A7, look good, lift good. He's got both steps to it. Did he get up and down toward lockout?
I do believe that was just settling. The bar is allowed to settle, especially with the whip that's there. So you'll see a little bit of bouncing, but that's not technically the up and down.
Okay.
And it looks like the referees agree there.
Secured 282.5. All of these are ridiculous. And the next lifter is also going to take that same load. Leandro Munoz now 282.5.
Let's see it, Eli.
Leandro's bar wants to roll too. His right hand started getting a little movement to it. Gravity's going to work that bar down to the lowest point, right?
That's right.
Have you, for that reason, I understand you're a hip grip puller now, but have you ever at any point with a mixed tried to get it all the way down in the fingertip?
No, it starts to get risky there because you're putting a lot of pressure on the grip and you're not getting a full grip on the bar.
There are those who are incredibly successful with it. I think it's a minority. Charles Montgomery, whoa! He passed the earthquake test, but did he lock out?
Nah, he was a little bit soft on that lockout.
Likely, yes. For an effort of that magnitude, like a F4 earthquake magnitude, that is an utter shame. Luis Alvarez, 287.5. Everybody well beyond 600 pounds now at this point in the flight and this point in the meet. Luis, second verse, same as the first. Luis's pull is secure down at the bottom of the flight. He took that same weight as Charles Montgomery, but convincingly locked it.
Dylan needs this to stay in the meet. He moved up after missing his opener on soft shoulders. Always a risky move, and never something that I would suggest that somebody does. Because then you end up in this situation where you got to hit it.
Maybe the most difficult spot you could find yourself in, and then good night. A brief intraset nap for recovery purposes.
And unfortunately there for Dylan is not going to post a total after missing 3 straight deadlifts.
And well under the West Regionals qualifying total he hit to get here. Man, is there a million and one things that can explain and that can factor in.
You asked for tequila, right? Yes. Here you go.
Mr. Lee, could you please show me a 250 to polish it off?
Compliments of the ladies there in the second row.
Sitting in an 18th place overall. But again, no longer about placings
What a
here.
fight.
Absolutely it was. He emptied his tank.
For him, he did not get a single red light all day. 27 for 27, and that's just clean lifting right there.
That is. It's aesthetically pleasing, but it also shows you a greater potential, whether you kind of knew it before you came to today or not. You've showed there is so much more that I can obtain in this sport. Time is that number one predictor. Time is that number one factor in the long-term unbelievable strength gain. David Krupka, 255, and now the third deads are looking dialed in. So easy to forget that, right? Time as that real determinant or predictor when we see literally teenagers taking open all-time world records and things. But to compare yourself to that, how logical is it? It's not. It's just our kind of baser human nature, that instinct that takes over that comparison. Jesse Rodriguez, 257 and a half, gave him everything he wanted and then some, and he will also experience that rapid change in the pressure when the belt comes off and when his day is done with an unsuccessful third.
Very attentive by our spotters and loaders there.
And everybody recently has needed them. A couple of pearly gates have been seen. But remember, you don't go into them, all right? You got to just see them and then step back from them. Shane Melcher. That was something I got to talk to Quayla Hardwick about in yesterday's evening session, man. She was great, too. You met her?
Yes, once at Nationals.
Mm-hmm. Super, super talented lifter herself, and it was great to talk to yesterday. Shane Melcher rocking on into the 260. It's never stopping until he's locking. And that is a punctuation mark like not too many others. Exclamation 2, you don't want to go out on a question mark. You want to not slam the bar. Well, you've mentioned that on a few, especially younger lifters who have kind of pushed that edge.
Yeah, they're walking the line, and we haven't seen them throw the yellow for it today, but definitely a couple instances where they could have.
Mm-hmm.
That is a silly thing to get a lift red lighted for.
Absolutely. Denzel Johnson, 270. He'll settle himself one more time at the top and then throw 20 on. Whoa. And he's got to have.
You all right?
Yeah. There's like the belt popper is sometimes the most important role out of the whole spotting crew.
Yeah, that's right. Get the air in there.
Oh, yeah. That took him back into 18th. It'll leave him settled in 18th among our 75s for now. Very, very stacked, very heavy class, just like our women's 60s and 56s were in the afternoon session today.
Zion's going to take a huge jump trying to get on the podium.
You bet. Zion ready to empty his tank and get a lifetime plus 12 and a half. But was always going to be real ambitious, wasn't it?
Yeah, judging off of how those first two moved, you had to think that that was a Hail Mary to get on the podium. You can't hate on it, though. You know, we're at Nationals. That's what you're here for. You're here to compete.
He's a 10th place. He's in 10th place, that is, right now in those standings. Wouldn't have stood to gain a ton even by hitting that per se. And yet we can't take away, it's still elite totals almost all the way around. Leandro Munoz wants to pull his way up into the top 5 here. And even the 2.5 will get him there. 285, man, he let it down a little funky. I still thought he got the down command in, right?
Yeah, he's good. He's got it on board.
Andrew Wawersick is up next. All of our deadlifts starting to round out final placings as they do. His 285 stalled at the knee. Andrew is spent. Not too many more dramatic shifts, but what are you seeing on standings placings?
We saw a change with Augustine. He changed his third deadlift to jump Leonardo, who just got into 5th. So he'll overtake him in total, jumping into 5th place if successful in a couple attempts.
Charles Montgomery, after he had a spasmodic second, kind of unsurprising to see that 287 for him not come up either, but he was stuck there at that, had to retake it. Joseph Chaplin, 290. 3 more deads to polish off our 3rd session for the day. Joseph has a couple of placings and pride on the line. He's just got to ditch it, as that's clearly glued to the floor, I think.
So here we saw a change with Augustine's 3rd attempt. He's going to jump up to 297.5, which will give him a total of 695, 2.5 kilos above Leandro, who currently sits in 5th. So this will jump Augustine all the way from 7th place to 5th place. Remember, our Nationals podium goes all the way to 5 lifters, so he's trying to get a medal, trying to get on that podium.
And there were some big checks over there. I don't know if you walked by that table and saw, in the back of one's mind. Augustine will set up, and this is a 15-kilo jump. That means it's bigger than the jump from his first to his second. But if you're going to go out in the blaze of glory and get everything that you possibly had on the day. I think that's where he's at. Nobody has showed fear out of this flight. Nobody has been intimidated. There was maybe a little bit of that in our Flight H on the other platforms. There was some hesitations and some guys maybe not doing what they had planned on. Exactly the opposite on this flight, where everybody is getting what they asked for.
Yeah, you can't move with fear when you're at Nationals. This is the time to show out. Pressure creates diamonds, but it also bursts pipes. And if you act with fear, you're never going to be on that podium.
Luis Alvarez, if he can lean back, might just get one more exclamation point on the day. 300 keys, cramping everywhere. He's going to hop off like Rocky Balboa. Did he lock it or no?
I think he got a little bit up and down there.
Oh, it's a shame. 3 blues, and so no chance at the jury. That will be no lift. A lot more red than there was green. Call that what it is. Right, Lance?
Yeah, and that's how it goes for the third deadlift when you're jockeying for position, especially with such a tightly contested meet. There's a lot of people that are changing, a lot of people that are overshooting, a lot of people that are just trying to get on that podium, and that's what we saw here today.
Indeed, we did. The quick recaps, we had Flight G and H. That is the 7th and 8th flight out of each platform for the day. Finishing out of this flight, you're going to see some of these final standings that have already been determined, classes that are fully wrapped up. Women's 65s, one of those, Heather Grinkley, up at the top of the 492.5, pushing that half a metric ton today. There's going to be a lot of other very impressive numbers that you'll see creeping across your screens. And again, you can always find this back on LiftingCast 2026 USA Powerlifting Youth and Raw Nationals. This was day 1 of Youth and Raw Nats here. The youths early on proved that the talent pool continues to expand and get better all the time among these younger ages. Our open 75s were some of the most standout pullers for certain, but there's tons of massive benches all throughout, and there's some squats pushing that 600-plus range. Man, what a treat.
Yeah, it was a great day of lifting. Hopefully we keep that going throughout the rest of the weekend.
And just a few still going on our platforms 1 and 2, so we recommend that you wait for those for all of our final standings to shake out from all of the events of today. I think that is going to just about do it. You satisfied?
Satisfied.
All right. Thanks, everybody, so much for joining us for USA Powerlifting 2026 National Championships for Youth and Raw. Day 1 over here from Platform 3 and 4. Tanner White and Lance London, presented by A7. Been such a pleasure, and we'll do it all again tomorrow, folks, bright and early.